But at least now it can't get much worse.
But it did get worse.
Sorry, I may have played some Windows sound effects while we were beginning that, but it is what it is. All right. So, yes, I know there was some echo. I realized there was going to be an echo when I started this, but it is what it is. All right, guys, Assassin's Creed. You know, everyone says they remember where they were when the towers fell. But I remember where I was when Assassin's Creed Shadows was announced. If you don't, you guys know what Assassin's Creed Shadows is about, right? Yasuke, the samurai. Let me bring this up. Yasuke Assassins. I should have this loaded. Why don't I? But it is what it is. All right, let me see. So, Assassin's Creed, very popular video game where you're an assassin and you have a creed. Okay, and this is the legendary samurai Yasuke. And this caused a lot of, I guess, discussion online because you're having a game centered in Japan featuring the main character as a black African man, Yasuke the samurai. Now, this man did exist in history, but much of his backstory is completely fabricated. And basically, there's only one page of information about him, which we'll go into later about this. But anyway, the idea of having Yasuke as the main character was something that didn't really appeal to many people, because when you think about playing an Assassin's Creed game, you think you're going to be a ninja, and you can play as a ninja in this game. You can play as Noe, the ninja, female kunoichi. But it's a little bit jarring. It's a little bit strange. So when I remember when this happened, and I was on a bus, and I was headed back to my train, and I was thinking about this, and I was thinking to myself, that's pretty lame. I'm not going to play this game. Not too excited in it. But, and I may get some pushback on this one, I don't really give a shit because it's their game. They can make whatever story they want. However, while they can make any story they want, anyone's free to criticize them for their choices, which we will be doing. Now, understandably, a lot of Japanese have some strong opinions about this game. And watermelons existed in Japan, I think, in 1950, in 1590. I'm pretty sure they had them. But watermelons is going to become a part of this discussion as we come through. I think, let me see where I've got them here somewhere. There you go. Watermelons in Japan. So this is actually, unironically, one of the talking points in this. It's going to be very funny as we get to it. But watermelons are actually a part of Japanese culture. But it's not because of watermelons being in Japan. It's because of watermelons and sakura being in the same photo. But again, we're going to get to it at the same time. It's kind of like having a surfboard under a Christmas tree. It doesn't really match up because they're one of them is from spring and one of them from summer. Although, to be fair, in Australia, you get surfboards at Christmas, so that actually does make sense. Anyway, how this comes up is that there's a guy called Shohei Kondo. And I actually saw his channel prior to this drama, prior to this silencing of people's criticism, because Shohei is he's a Japanese React streamer, and primarily he does like Japanese man's opinion of something, or Japanese reacts to other online content. Like he's got like Japanese reacts to 12 things in Japan that I got wrong or something. But one video came up, and he became quite the center of attention. Is he did a video called How Asian Hate is Dismissed, Japanese Reacts to Assassin's Creed Shadows, which is like fine. You know, you could make like a video criticizing the game, surely, except this video was removed from YouTube not once, not twice, but 12 times. If we go over to Shohei's Twitter, he says, my YouTube video about protesting Assassin's Creed Shadows are under reporting attacks. Every time the video is back after a few minutes, it gets removed. Please fix this, YouTube. And you can see a screenshot of his inbox. 12 times this video was taken down by butthurt Assassin's Creed fanboys. And let's be honest, let's call a spade a spade. Are there people that are mad at the Assassin's Creed game because not Shohei, but because Yasuke is a black man? Absolutely. But are there people defending this game and its numerous historical inaccuracies just because the protagonist is a black man and they have to protect their black man friend? Yes, there are. And the people that are reporting Shohei's video are exactly that. Just as there are rabid people that hate this game, there are rabid people that love this game for no reason. So I'm going to go through Shohei's parts of his video, not the entire video. And I'm going to go through some of the things related to the game about why I think it's shit. And then primarily, the video I want to see is a video by this man, Th3Birdman. Th3Birdman is he's an anti-woke YouTuber who has a very big problem with people like Critical Drinker and Az from Heel vs. Babyface and Geeks and Gamers. He doesn't like them, and he's exposing their grift. And he's made several videos defending Yasuke, the Black Samurai in Japan. But he got very mad at Shohei, and he says exposing the grift, Shohei Kondo versus Ubisoft, because Shohei, he's got his video removed, but then it came back. And when it came back, he got a lot of attention because, you know, if you survive being taken down by false flagging attacks, people usually rally to your cause. And he decided to double down and continue to making content on Assassin's Creed Shadows, as you should do. If you have a successful video on YouTube, you should double down on what works. It's a great strategy. There's nothing wrong with it. And he seems like he's even got some talks. He says it's alleged. I don't know if this is actually true, but it says, I talked with an Ubisoft insider about the backlash. The guy wants to remain anonymous, so he's got like an AI voice reading it. So I don't know if it's actually true or not. I would assume it's most likely true, but there's always that element of doubt. But he's been going on a bit of a tear, talking about the controversy and why it's important. So I guess that's a good place to start. Or should we talk about why I think that Assassin's Creed is dog shit? And it's not because of the main character. But there's some very funny things that happened along this way, because I've been following this story for a long time, actually. Like, I've been watching it from the inception, but I didn't think I was going to talk about it because, like I said, they're free to make their own video game, but we're free to criticize it. However, one of the funniest things for me in this entire saga is that there's a white professor in Tokyo University called, I think, Thomas something or other. Well, I've got his name somewhere down here. And he basically fabricated the entire backstory of Yasuke. All right, so let's take a look at the beginning of Shohei's video, a couple of his videos, or a couple minutes of his video, so just to see what it's like. And I will be criticizing Shohei and Th3Birdman a little bit in this, because I think there are some errors in it. Primarily this first part here is my biggest problem with Shohei's video, but I think he's got some pretty solid points. And if you're wondering, the primary Japanese opinion on this game is that they don't actually mind that the protagonist is black. And there is actually other media with black protagonists in Japan. And people are not even denying that Yasuke exists in history, because he did, as far as we know, from the, I think it's Jesuit records. But what they're upset about is the lack of respect for Japanese culture. All right, so with that in mind, let's begin. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about this scene in particular, but we'll get to it when we get to it. All right, let's see.
Idea of agent.
Sorry, I was listening at 2x speed. I'll put it back down to 1x speed. There we go. All right, let's start here.
Living in Europe and America as a Japanese, I do understand the idea of Asian. I do understand how we are seen and how invisible we are. But you know what? I won't shut up.
All right. So this is his beginning, and I have to say this is the weakest part of the video, because what's happening here is, if you're unaware, is this was a bit of this caused a bit of a stir with Japanese people. You've got Robert Downey Jr. and he's accepting an award, and you've got like Short Round down here, and he hands an award,
in
but
America as a
gets
Japanese
blown off immediately. And when Japanese and Asian people saw this, they thought it was because Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. doesn't care about Japanese people. And that might sound ridiculous, and I think that is ridiculous, but you have to understand that people really felt this at this time. And even my own girlfriend messaged me and said, like, oh, they don't even care about Asians in America or something. And I was like, no. Like, look, he's just a movie star. He's just trying to do his speech. It's just an afterthought. It's not like he's trying to blow this person off. It was just a mistake. But the important thing is, especially for people on the left that are criticizing people on the right for criticizing this game, is that it's not what actually happened that matters, right? It's the feeling. And this made a lot of people in Japan and in Asia very sad, because they felt like they were being ignored. And there was, of course, the Stop Asian Hate campaign, which I think is a little bit silly, but it is what it is. But anyway, this is how his video starts, and I think this is the worst part of the video. But from here, it gets pretty good. So we'll return here.
I won't shut up.
Okay.
Every time I post about the Assassin's Creed Shadow video game, I always get hate comments like calling me racist, and then some people say like all Japanese are racist. And why you care about the historical accuracy or blah blah blah? Or you don't like that because of Black Samurai? Really? You really don't see the disgracing for Asian people and Japanese culture in this game? We have Afro Samurai.
Yep, this is a Japanese game featuring a black protagonist. No backlash on this one. Nobody cared about this one. Good example. I like this.
No backlash. And yes, there's a historical inaccuracy, but what we care is that respect. How can you say they can teach history of Japan doing this kind of stupid things?
Yeah, and this is an important part of the dialogue in the Assassin's Creed game, is that if they just said they were making their own fantasy game set in Japan with Yasuke as the character, it wouldn't be that much of a problem. It's more of a problem because they've, as one of the selling points, they've talked about how much this is a historically accurate game. Now, if you say you're going to be a historically accurate game, yeah, this is an unfortunate pause. So I apologize, Shohei. If you're going to talk about being in a historical game, then you have to be a historical game, or you can expect a lot of people to call you out on your shit. And there are numerous things that are just wrong with this game that kind of show that they've been paying lip service to Japanese aesthetics and Japanese culture, but not really taking in a good view at it. And this view is a good example of that, in that you have two different seasonal items. And like I said, this is like seeing a surfboard under a Christmas tree, or I don't know, like a Halloween pumpkin at an Easter festival. It doesn't look right. But as a Westerner looking into this, or someone that is just using Japan as an aesthetic rather than paying any actual respect to the culture, this would look normal to you because you wouldn't know this. But to Japanese people, this is a very strange scene. And there was a lot of other things that came up as well, and that just seemed like they were actually doing it on purpose almost. Like, for example, in the Japanese trailer release of Assassin's Creed Shadow, they actually had like Chinese subtitles instead of Japanese subtitles, because I guess they couldn't tell the difference. And there's a lot of other little details. They've got the wrong plants all the time. Sakura trees are always constantly in bloom and like really high. It just looks unnatural. But I guess you could say it's aesthetics. But there's little things. The devil's in the details, like square tatami mats. Like Japanese houses, traditional houses have matting instead of carpeting. And they're kind of like these oblong shapes, right? Like a rectangle, right? They just had square ones with no borders, and it looks very strange if you've spent any time in Japan. So when Japanese people saw this and they hear that it's going to be historically accurate, they start seeing these things, and it has that uncanny valley vibe. And as it goes forward, it gets worse and worse and worse, and you start to see why this game looks like it's a piece of shit. But we'll continue back to Yohei now. Where was it? This one here? All right. Sorry about that pause, but let's continue.
Joe Raptor. I don't know how to pronounce. And I'm not sure if he likes Japan or he knows this controversy.
Right, so
I'm sure he knows. But pretending not knowing, or he works for Ubisoft, I hope he watches this video. Because he looks like using Japanese armor, right? There's a lot of people like this. Oh my god, like a lot of hate comments towards the Japanese. On my channel, like saying Japanese are racist. They use anime for the icon. What does it mean? Or Pokemon. And Japanese really don't like this game. Always, all trailers, dislike is higher than likes.
Now, the dislike thing isn't very accurate, I have to say. This isn't a great criticism, because YouTube dislikes are not an actual indicator of what people are going to do. And frankly, I know people have like an app that allows them to see the dislikes. It's not accurate, because it used to have the API of YouTube's backend. It doesn't anymore. So it kind of just estimates if you have that plugin. It's not very accurate at all. But people are upset about this game. It's much more useful to look at the discourse online, and or people like Yohei himself. Sorry, I keep saying Yohei, but it's Shohei. Who are talking and criticizing this video. But like, here's the question. Have you seen anything in this video so far that warrants it being removed from YouTube or hateful content? And I would say no. This is a pretty run-of-the-mill video with the guy criticizing what he doesn't like, and that's perfectly fine. You know, you're perfectly fine to make the game, but you're perfectly fine to criticize the game. There is one part in here I could maybe see would be removed, and that's when he talks about the shape of people's heads, because they have like this very close hairline, which looks a little bit unnatural. He mentions that twice, And maybe someone reported it because of that. But I think it's much more likely that it's people that are just butthurt that anyone will receive any criticism of this game. But we'll jump forward. Like, I think it says it like here, right?
They really like mixing Japanese and Chinese. They had a Chinese subtitle for Japanese, like a Chinese philosopher. It looks like a bug for some reasons. I said in a previous video, but why all of them has such a narrow forehead?
Yeah, I wonder if it's like this narrow forehead comment that people were trying to ban his video for. I don't know. I assume it's from the Yasuke hate.
Is that Japanese face? Narrow forehead? I don't know why.
So the video kind of is just like this. It's just like 10 or 15 minutes of him pointing out what he doesn't like about this video game. And things like criticizing the movement, criticizing the aesthetics, and he mentions the watermelons there and stuff like that. So it's a pretty normal video. Definitely something that should not rightfully be removed from YouTube. But it caused such a stir. And people started to go insane about this. Which brings us to, I guess we'll go into, at this point here, we'll give you the introduction to the Birdman. I think it's this video. All right. So exposing the grift. Now we're jumping over to the Birdman. Exposing the grift. Shohei Kondo versus Ubisoft. And we'll be jumping through this video and back to some articles and things as things come up. Because this is the one that I really want to analyze and criticize.
The first video I made in the Exposing the Grift series detailed the way in which grifters and parrots use members of a marginalized or minority group as shields from criticism. In short, these people essentially use the "but I have black friends" excuse when they are accused of racism, misogyny, or being a bigot.
All right. So it's important to remember this part of the video, okay? So all of the people, like this Shohei guy, he's got loads of Japanese friends, and he's being used by the grifters. And the grifters, when this guy's saying it, he's referring to people specifically like Critical Drinker, as Geeks and Gamers, basically anyone that's criticized this game. Those are the grifters, and this is their Japanese friend, aka the one that allows them to kind of get away with the grift from his point of view, not mine.
Topic of today's video is one of those unfortunate human shields that has no idea that he's a part of something much larger than his qualm with a video game.
All right, so this Japanese man, he's an unfortunate human shield. He has no even idea he's being used as a pawn. He's being used as a pawn. He's just not smart enough to know. Now, this guy, the Birdman, he's a very smart boy. And I'll prove it to you right now. I'll show you how smart he is. Because when you go to his Twitter, his first pinned tweet, in case you were wondering, and he has the real IQ. So we can see here, thank you for taking the best free online test. A detailed report will be emailed to you shortly. Your IQ is 141. So he's a very smart boy. He's a very smart YouTube boy. He knows what he's talking about. But unfortunately, this Japanese man, he has no idea what he's talking about. He's just a useful idiot for the online grifters, as it were.
You see, Shohei Kondo is an actual Japanese person that has an issue with Assassin's Creed Shadows, which is exactly the kind of person grifters will point to justify their racist rhetoric against this game. These people don't have the insight Shohei may have when it comes to his own culture and country, and their entire issue is that there is a black protagonist in the game, period. I have demonstrated this.
All right, he's demonstrated this because he's gone to the Reddit comments. We was rap kings in Japan and shit. Now, like I said, there are some truths in this video. And are there people that hate Assassin's Creed Shadow because there is a black protagonist? Absolutely. But, like I said, there are also people that are defending this shit-looking game because it has a black protagonist. That's the only reason they're defending it, because they think it's some sort of tribalism. I don't know. And this game does look like shit. Let's be honest. The decline in Ubisoft games is apparent to most people. And here's a great example of why I think this is a shit game. Let me see. Where is it? I got this loaded up. All right. So this was a screen that was uploaded from the game. Okay. It's showing off Assassin's Creed Shadows bamboo physics. Let's take a look at these 2025 PS5 game elite graphics. Let's take a look. I think that's pretty bad. I don't know about you, but he slices, and there's already predetermined slice cuts in these bamboo. Now, I will say that the way the bamboo falls is kind of nice. That's fine. That's fine. But that's a basic graphics thing you can do. Basic physics engine. Not that impressive, especially for a 2025 game. Let's take a look at the game. Oh, look, you can cut down the bamboo. Excellent. Great. Okay. This looks good. Looks good. Now, the thing is, with this one is particularly funny. Even though this received 1.6 million tweets, there was some random anime avatar person that's making their own game, and they completely ratioed this tweet with their own cut physics. And look at the comparison. So this is what a game developer, a AAA game developer can do. A AAA game developer can do with millions of dollars of budget, right? This is the best they can do. Let's see what someone alone in a cave with a box of scrap can do. Okay, this is some random person on Twitter who's an indie dev. Let's see their bamboo cutting physics. All right, first of all, you can select the way you want to cut it. Much nicer. Looks a lot better, okay? This is just some rando on Twitter that's making an anime Kuma game, I assume. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just got a cute rabbit anime girl for another reason. I don't know. Maybe it's important to the story. This looks much better. And furthermore, they demonstrated the cutting abilities of, I think if I go back home a second, there's another video here, I think. All right, look at this. Look at the cutting physics on this part, where they're actually cutting up rocks. Oh, you can actually decide the way you cut it. You can actually choose to cut it into smaller pieces, like an actual samurai game should have. And this is just some one person working alone in their bedroom. Now, when I saw these first ones, like these first bamboo cuts, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the PS2. Because, I don't know, was it the PS2? I'm pretty sure it's the PS2. Do you guys remember a game called Metal Gear Rising? Because I'm pretty sure this was on the PS2. Maybe it was the PS3. I'm pretty sure it's PS2. These are graphics from 15 years ago, or 14 years ago, okay? This is from 15 years ago. They had watermelon cutting physics demonstrations where you could cut the watermelon into smaller and smaller pieces. And everyone was saying, this is the future. This is 15, 14 years ago, okay? So that's one of the reasons I think that Assassin's Creed Shadow just actually looks like shit, is that it looks like old tech. For a 2025 game, why have we gone backwards? You know what I mean? It just looks bad. There's numerous bugs as well, and I don't need to mention just yet, but I'm sure I'll talk about them later. Allegedly, they had to delay the game to add in a dog physics because it was so buggy as shit in the demos. It's been delayed multiple times. There's a lot of rumors about the game. We'll take a look at that a bit later. But let's see what the T-Man. Oh, sorry, not the T-Man. The Birdman is saying.
Times. Shohei is a YouTuber that has done many reactions to Japanese content with a focus on how non-Japanese people interact with Japan.
Looking good
Some
so
of
far.
his content trends towards the negative, and frankly, I do not blame him. Westerners are particularly disrespectful when it comes to Japan, like the lady who attempted to take photos of this
Westerners are particularly disrespectful when it comes to Japan. Is this a true statement? There has been some very well publicized incidents like this geisha incident. In fact, I've even talked about this myself. But particularly, a Western is particularly offensive to Japanese people? I don't think so. Japan has approximately, I want to say like 30 to 60 million tourists a year. And the majority of those interactions are actually quite positive. So this is a very wild statement, a very inflammatory statement to make without any evidence to back it up, rather than just one viral moment that happened on Twitter.
Michael working in Kyoto. Michael and other geisha in this district are working. This is
all right. Let's go back because I want to talk a little bit about this.
When it comes to Japan, like the lady who attempted to take photos of this Michael working in Kyoto. Michael and other geisha in this district are working.
That's true. They're also not actually called geisha in that district. They're called geiko. But he wouldn't know that because he just kind of pays lip service to the Japanese culture. But it's not important. It's just a small Kyoto detail here that he probably doesn't know about.
This is their job. What this woman is doing is the equivalent of breaking into your office and recording you in your cubicle.
No, it's not even equivalent to that. It's more like stopping a celebrity on the road while they're trying to get to their office. It's not like breaking into the roads. That would be like breaking into the tea house. But yeah, it's very offensive. Like, this woman, don't do this shit. This is very very, very frustrating to see foreigners do this, and it does happen from time to time. It's not super common, but he's absolutely right. This is very disrespectful, and that's why it became such a bit of a international incident, actually, on its own way.
This is their job. What this woman is doing is the equivalent of breaking into your office and recording you in your cubicle. When put into this
That's true. He does have 141
it's quite easy
IQ.
to understand how non-Japanese people treat Japanese people as a kind of sideshow when this is daily life for them. So I get it. I, myself, try to educate people on Japan and explain some of the do's and don'ts while in the country, so believe me, this isn't a video where I'm disagreeing with Shohei on how Asian people are often mistreated in Western society.
He says that. He says that. Like, he says he's one of the good ones, okay? He's one of the good ones. But if you go to his Twitter again, actually, sorry, I'll bring up his Twitter again. There was something funny. I think it was there. Let me see. So he posted the video saying, exposing the grift, Shohei Kondo versus Ubisoft. And then he says in his pinned comment, this video isn't meant to denigrate or hate Shohei. I think it is mostly misguided, and he's regurgitating things he's heard from people saying. He seems like a reasonable and nice person who simply has an issue with how Japanese people are treated and how Japanese media is consumed. That doesn't mean he's wrong, and I'll explain why. Shohei made a video responding to this, saying that this guy's slandering him, and he didn't react well. The Birdman says, so Shohei said, YouTube deleted my video, but not this video. This video is spreading lies about me and Assassin's Creed Shadow. It's basically attacking me rather than exposing the grift. To which the Birdman responded, absolutely pathetic attempt at garnering sympathy. You weren't slandered, and you got fact-checked and rebuted. You want to cry about something? Read your own comment section for this video. It might be the worst I've seen on YouTube. Holy shit. So this guy is very upset about what people say in their comments. But anyway, let's continue. You got fact-checked. I'm going to be fact-checking this guy because he gets several details wrong, which is kind of funny. Let's see.
Which is the title of his video. Rather, this is a refutation of the things he says about this game, which are not accurate, and is ignorant of the series as a whole.
Okay,
Living
he's an
in
ignorant
Europe
boy.
and America as a Japanese, I do understand the idea of Asian. I do understand how we are seen and how invisible we are. But you know what? I won't shut up.
We're already starting with a dishonest framing of this issue. You're showing Ki Hui Kwan and Michelle Yeoh apparently being ignored by people accepting an award at an award show, which I can only assume you believe was done purposefully. Typically, at these award shows, the winner is attempting to reach the microphone as quickly as possible, so they may walk right on past the people on the stage that are furthest from the mic. I mean, heck, in the very footage you show, Emma walks right past Charlize Theron with a mere glance. Does that mean she's ignoring African Americans?
Now, I actually do agree with him on this point. I think that this whole award thing was just a complete misunderstanding and people overreacted in a big way. But he is discounting the Asian experience, and the Asian people that saw this were affected and felt very strongly about this. Like I said, my own girlfriend messaged me about this.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. In the full clip, you see Emma does turn around and acknowledge Charlize and Michelle Yeoh. So to my audience, you can see why I didn't exclude this particular moment from Shohei's video. People that make this type of content always have to frame things dishonestly. Their points don't hold up to scrutiny otherwise.
All right, so let's just remember framing things dishonestly and their points don't hold up to scrutiny. Remember those 2 points.
In that same award show footage, Robert Downey Jr. walks right past Mahershala Ali and Christoph Waltz. To frame this as these people ignoring the Asians means you ignored the white and black people they did the same thing to. We're not off to a good start.
He's
Every
not
time
AI.
I
He's
post
not AI.
about the Assassin's Creed Shadow video game, I always get hate comments like calling me racist, and then some people say like all Japanese are racist.
Now, this is anytime you post some criticism of Assassin's Creed, regardless of whether it's justified or not, you always get people saying, you just hate the game because of Yasuke. You just hate the game because of Yasuke. This guy that had this Twitter post here, he's like this guy here. What's his name? Bunbu Ryodo. He's a British guy living in Japan, and he does martial arts. He's been one of the people that has been saying the aesthetics of Assassin's Creed looks like shit, and he's been getting a lot of hate currently because of just not saying that the game is great. If you have any criticism, you get shot down on the internet. Where are we? Here. I'll move this forward so I can actually find it.
And why you care about the historical accuracy or blah, blah, blah? Or you don't like that because of Black Samurai? Really? You really don't see the disgracing for Asian people and Japanese culture in this game?
In my experience, some Japanese people tend to have problems understanding how they are a little too sensitive about certain things. Like,
Japanese people are very nationalistic and they do have a cultural pride and they do have a very strong online presence. So if you do criticize something about Japan, it's not unusual to get a lot of pushback on that. Just as a sort of a detail, the Japanese netizens are usually out in force. But yeah, I would say that they do overact from time to time.
people appreciating and adapting Japanese culture, while at the same time the Japanese person is appreciating and appropriating other cultures. I think you may be an example of that, Shohei, with how you just showed an actor apparently ignoring Black, white, and Asian actors, but you only focused on the Asian. I'm reminded of the Kim Kardashian scandal a few years ago when she released a product called Kimono, an obvious wordplay of kimono.
This wasn't so obvious, honestly. I guess in retrospect it makes sense, but I thought it was just kimono, but kimono, I guess, okay, makes sense. This was so fucking stupid, and he's about to very dishonestly portray the situation, but let's see what he says.
Her given name, Japanese people went into an uproar, including a few of them on my Facebook friends list, with the main talking point being that Kim was being disrespectful to Japanese culture.
No. I mean, first of all, Japanese people were upset that she was trying to make her brand kimono, okay? And kimono just means something you wear. But the real problem with Kim Kardashian's campaign is that she was trying to trademark the word kimono. And people are like, no, it was just the font of their style. No, she was trying to trademark the entire word, kimono. So yes, of course, Japanese people are going to strike back about that when that's obviously something that's very important to their culture. Like, holy shit. Oh, it's just because she's making a fun. No, this is very dishonest of the Birdman. And he leaves this part out of his video entirely. But he was very brave enough to include a Facebook post with one of his friends from 5 years ago. Let's take a look at this.
Me being me, I obviously responded to the clear hypocrisy, pointing out that Japanese people appropriate other cultures all the time.
All right, cultural appropriation isn't real. And if you're talking about it, you're a lunatic. But he says, while we're talking about it, Japanese people, here are some examples of Japanese people stealing other people's culture. He's got it in quotation marks. No, this is not stealing people's culture, okay? Because if you hold up a Mexican flag at a street meetup or something, that doesn't steal the Mexican flag from the Mexicans. If you wear dreadlocks, you don't steal dreadlocks from people that want to wear them, okay? If you want to do your hip-hop rap dance moves, that doesn't steal the content. Now, he included a clip of some Japanese people wearing blackface. Blackface isn't even black culture. That's white culture, okay? So that's just not even here entirely. He just threw it in to kind of taint the well a little bit. Now, what Kim Kardashian was actually trying to do would have essentially been stealing the word kimono for trade purposes. So it's actually very different.
And nobody ever says anything. Most of the people watching this video have never seen what I'm showing on the screen, and that shows you that most people don't even care when Japanese people do it.
That's because nobody cares when anyone does it, because newsflash, if I make some fucking tacos, that doesn't deprive someone in Mexico of making tacos. Cultural appropriation is not real. Stop complaining about it. Get some, grow some sacks and just don't worry about it.
Naturally, a very sensitive and hypocritical member of my friends list attempted to respond to that post.
Now, this is insane. This is actual insane behavior. Posting your friends' Facebook messages with their like Yasui. So I assume this is a Japanese woman. Yasui, blank out their last name, and Anthony, who is, I guess, the Birdman. He left his in. He's so butthurt about this situation. He went back on his Facebook page for 5 years ago to search for an example. Yasui, his friend, I guess family member maybe, says, here's where you're wrong. Japanese people aren't stealing other cultures. You choose the wrong word. Japanese people are admiring other cultures because they are interested in it. When a black woman bleaches their hair blonde, do you say black women are stealing white culture? So please do us a favor and replace stealing for a better word. Now, because he does have a 141 IQ intellect, he responded and absolutely... Wait, hold on a second. I think he says he actually destroys this person in this Facebook post.
And I obliterated her.
There you go. He obliterated her, okay? He got one like. He got one like on his post from 5 years ago. She also got one like. So he obliterated her. The Birdman obliterates friend on Facebook. This is worth putting in my YouTube video from 5 years ago. What a fucking lunatic. This guy is fucking unhinged. But let's see what he said. Here is where you're misunderstanding English. I said stealing. Do you notice the quotation marks? Thinking face. This means I'm saying that I don't think it's stealing. I didn't come up with that word. Japanese people on Twitter are saying Kim is stealing their culture. Well, she tried to trademark the word kimono. Like that. I don't know if that's stealing, but that is some absolute bullshit right there. The point that I'm trying to make is Japanese people appropriate other people's cultures all the time. To be fair, yeah, you borrow. Like, culture is a borrowed thing. It's a devolving thing. Everyone's cultures is stolen, stealed, or appropriated, but it doesn't matter. Okay, it's not a thing. It's not real. The same thing that Kim is doing. No, it's different because she was trying to monetize it. The photos you showed were people that were just enjoying the culture. They weren't trying to monetize it. I don't think that is admiring the culture at all. This is these people not knowing the significance of the culture they're appropriating, and they're doing it because they think it's cool. That is a fact. Japanese people posting in blackface is not admiring black culture. Well, that's true. This is correct. Japanese people wearing blackface is admiring white culture, actually, because that's a white thing. But anyway, doesn't matter. I can't believe you can sit here and with a serious face and tell me the Japanese people in blackface are admiring black people. You are married to a black man. Ask him how he feels about that. Blackface is meant to denigrate and make fun of black people. The ones dressing up in Mexican gangsters don't understand why that's insensitive. They just think it looks cool. Yes, that's true. They do just think it looks cool. That's why they're dressing up as Mexicans. I don't know if they're dressing up as gangsters. That seems to be something you're inferring on them that might not be real. This is the problem I have with you. You want people to take Kim Kardashian's appropriation of Japanese culture seriously. No, she should have been laughed out of the world, and she was, and her trademark was thrown out. So she changed it to something else, I think. But don't think that Japanese people appropriating other cultures is a big deal. It's not. It's not. If you're not trying to trademark anything, it's not. Okay? It doesn't matter. Stop complaining. Like, this is a very American point of view, and Americans are so sensitive about this issue. It's ridiculous. Well, not all Americans, just a certain set of Americans. If these Japanese people are simply admiring these cultures, why isn't that what Kim is admiring Japanese culture? Because she's trying to fucking sell it. She's trying to package, sell, and trademark it so nobody else can do it but her. So do me a favor and actually try and listen to what people are saying before you blindly comment my post defending your country. So she is a Japanese. So this is an actual Japanese woman. So he's trying to shut down a Japanese woman on his Facebook. Japanese people are wrong. Kim is wrong. But you're only mad at Kim. That the point. Okay, he's got the clap emojis in there. So he thoroughly obliterated this woman 5 years ago. And it was so important in his life, he's made sure to either screenshot it or search for it. Holy shit. Chris Kelly with £2 says, Assassin's Creed Black Flag was good. And AC Black... AC Black. Okay, I see what you did there. And Sporkmaster with a 10 Hong Kongian dollars says, culturally appropriate these Hong Kong dollars. Thank you very much. I much appreciate it. Oh my goodness. I'm a bit tongue-tied tonight. But let's see where he goes from this. Okay, let's see what this master of the 141 IQ is going to bring up next.
Mind you, this woman is married to a black American man, wears her hair in an afro, wears hoop earrings, speaks black American slang, literally only listens to rap and R&B, and styles her makeup to appear more like a black person. I have absolutely zero problem with her doing this.
Then why are you mentioning it? Why are you bringing it up? You have no problem with this person, but you remember this post from 5 years ago. She wears hoop earrings. I have no problem with this. Okay, guy. Okay, buddy.
Some black people might, but I think it's cool that she's taken that much of an interest in black culture. But she, like you, is only focused on others and thinks the cherry picking that she's doing is justified.
This is snitch behavior.
We have Afro Samurai. There's no backlash. And yes, there's a historical inaccuracy, but what we care is that respect.
By the way.
All right. So before he gets into this like killer argument where he also completely misrepresents Shohei's argument entirely. Yeah, there's a difference in the respect that is shown in these properties. Okay, so one of the largest examples that people bring up when they talk about these sort of Japanese cultural properties in comparison to Assassin's Creed is The Last Samurai, and I guess also Shogun, where you have a white protagonist who goes and learns Japanese culture, and it's kind of like a fish out of water story, kind of similar, very much so, to the real life story of Yasuke in Japan. Now, a difference in this between these two things is absolutely the respect aspect. In Shogun and in The Last Samurai, Tom Cruise isn't the last samurai. And the pilot in Shogun is not actually the main character at all. It's the Japanese people. The white characters in these movies are essentially observers reporting the story as they see it. Matsumoto is the main character in The Last Samurai. Tom Cruise is not the last samurai. He's the man that just tells his story. It's totally different than having Yasuke as the main character going around slaughtering innocent Japanese people and destroying shrines and just doing whatever he wants and walking through like fucking massive concrete fences and things. It's just insane. It's all about suspension of disbelief, right? When you see like some guy like Ghost of Yote is Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Yote is the next one. Ghost of Tsushima. It has a lot of historical inaccuracies, but your suspension of disbelief is not broken because everything seems in place. And they could make a Yasuke game where things would seem in place, but the problem is they haven't done this here, and that's what people are noticing. It doesn't pass the vibe check, essentially. And a lot of this is interpretation and feeling. There's no real science to this. If it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. And clearly Assassin's Creed doesn't because people are making such a stink about it. I know that's a little bit of a circular logic, but that's kind of how it is. Like I said, if Assassin's Creed Shadow is released and it's an amazing game, they could absolutely win back the entire audience, but they probably won't based on what I've seen so far. But anyway, let's see the Resident Evil argument. This is a very popular one as well, and he's about to tell some major lies about Mr. Shohei.
How is this situation any different to Resident Evil 5?
All right, let's see.
Have a foreigner in a country where the majority of the enemies are ethnically homogenous, and you have a female partner who is a local of that country that helps you eliminate the other locals. The games were both developed by people who are not native to the locations of those games. Heck, the same argument that the protagonist could have been a local even applies here. Resident Evil 5 didn't have to star Chris Redfield. They have an interesting character in Sheva, and she could have been the main character. These are a damn near one-to-one comparison.
All right. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I actually have not played Resident Evil 5. But I'm pretty sure in Resident Evil 5, he's not mowing down Africans. He's mowing down zombies. In Assassin's Creed Shadows, in basically every demo they've seen, they've shown Yasuke slaughtering unarmed civilian Japanese people. Okay, that's slight. You could see maybe how there might be a little bit of a difference there, a little bit of cultural insensitivity. Okay, it's just a game. Okay, it's just a game. But then again, if you make the game, it's open to criticism. So I think there's a little bit of a difference. Okay.
If you were mad about Assassin's Creed, then you have to be mad about Resident Evil 5.
Now, hold on a second.
Which we know you're not.
Actually, this is a fucking lie. Complete slandering of Mr. Shohei. Because Mr. Shohei actually mentions Resident Evil 5 in his videos because I watched them. And he says he could absolutely understand if people were offended by Resident Evil 5. So this is just complete misrepresentation to his audience. This is actually makes me wonder if he even watched the entire video at all, or he's just looking for a useful idiot that he could try and use as his part of his grift, because his thing is exposing the grift, but he's a bit of a grifter himself.
Evidenced by this being the best-selling Resident Evil game ever. And complaining about journalists that complained about Resident Evil 5 doesn't cut it, because you are literally agreeing with them right now.
Now, I do think that some people take the fucking pronouns too far, okay? But it's part of their character, and their audience enjoys it. For whether they believe it or not, it's part of their act and it works for them. I do think it's a little bit over the top myself, but it is what it is.
You people are the snowflakes you used to make fun of.
How can you say they can teach history of Japan doing this kind of stupid things?
This is where I think you're showing ignorance of this series. Assassin's Creed has always been historical fiction. In case you don't know what historical fiction means, it's a genre of fiction that gives us an ahistorical story set in a real historical period.
Okay. Now, this is true. It's just fiction. But, like, think about it. Let's say we have a battle of samurai. Okay? You've got to just imagine, put this in your head. It's just you've got two samurai armies, they're racing towards themselves, and then suddenly a Tesla drives into the middle of the battlefield. And you're thinking to yourself, wait a second, what the fuck is a Tesla doing there? And then this guy comes up and he says, it's just historical fiction. It doesn't matter if it's accurate. Doesn't quite make sense, does it? Now, it's true that these games are not 100% historically accurate, but it's like I said, it is the suspension of disbelief. And there's only a certain amount of things you can add before the story starts to seem too crazy. Now, you can kind of balance that sometimes with if your storytelling or your hook is good enough, but that's a balance you always have to maintain in any storytelling. And the amount of, how do I put this? They have been shilling Yasuke so hard in this game. It is very clear, I would say, to anyone that's paying attention, that they are using Yasuke as their selling point, and because they think it was going to be an absolute banger, or because it was going to drum up much drama, that they could use that for publicity. Any publicity is good publicity. And that shows you that they're not trying to make a good game. They're trying to make a big splash in the online scene and get points in the social spheres, as it were. So just think about that. When everyone says it's historical fiction, just imagine what would happen if a Tesla drove into the field. Legacy with 5 says, I'm going to deliver a message. Birdman says that China and Japan don't have culture outside of media consumption. What? I'm going to deliver a message. Birdman says that China and Japan don't have culture outside of media consumption. What are you talking about? Did he actually say this? That's insane if he said that. I'm not sure if this is a reference or something, but that's pretty crazy. Let's see what goes on now.
That being the case, they don't have to get things exactly right. Almost no game does.
Yep,
Hell,
that's true.
Ghost of Tsushima is filled with historical inaccuracies. The main one being that in Kamakura Jidai, the period where Ghost of Tsushima takes place, the tenets of Bushido hadn't yet been developed. I'll say that again.
Okay.
In the time period Ghost of Tsushima takes place, the samurai code of ethics wouldn't be fully developed for over 300 years. In case that's not...
Okay. Now, that's true. That's a good point to bring up, that it was historically inaccurate. But the thing is, the Bushido code makes sense in Japan. Nobody questions it because it just fits this setting. Okay. It's not going to cause any red flags in people's perception of the game. So yeah, there's inaccuracies, but it's about how the level you add to them, to the game, and how you balance the content. And I think he doesn't see that. There's his entire argument is that yes, there was one black man in Japan at this time. Therefore, anyone who is upset with this is completely crazy, which isn't the case.
Sounding awful.
And furthermore, the good point here is that Ghost of Tsushima was a great game. And actually, I actually went past the island of Tsushima when I was going to Korea on the boat. I didn't realize it until I looked on my map. But if Assassin's Creed Shadows comes out and it's a good game, then a lot of the criticism will disappear. But it seems like they've focused not on making a good game, but on making a very salacious, well, not salacious, but a very controversial media campaign. If they'd focused more on the actual game itself, it probably wouldn't be as big as a problem as it is. And the games are going to be released, I think, next month.
That's a major plot point in the story, that Jin Sakai stops following the teachings of the samurai to become the ghost, a person that kills in the shadows, something the game tells us is dishonorable. But in reality, samurai used asymmetrical warfare and stealth tactics all the time.
Yep, this is very true. The samurais adopted guns, all sorts of things. They were warriors. A lot of the like warrior code, honor, and everything was largely romanticism in media.
Off the bat, the premise of the game is insanely historically inaccurate. And what did Shohei say about Ghost of Tsushima?
The Japanese slang, not slang, like Japanese game word, kamige, gut level game. I feel this is definitely kamige.
And that's not even the only historical inaccuracy in Ghost of Tsushima. The game places emphasis on one-on-one duels, which weren't really how real 13th century battles were conducted. The game focuses on and calls the swords in the game katana, which weren't the swords used in the 13th century.
This is such a stupid nitpick, and he may be accurate here, but the difference between a katana and a tachi is so small. Like from a media consumption point of view, obviously it's a big deal if you're actually a swordsman or something. This is such a nitpick that it's ridiculous. And this is a man, by the way, we're going to get into this, but this man's entire career is built on nitpicking nitpickers, because he has over 230 videos doing reactionary content to cinema sins. That's his entire, like his actual bread and butter for this guy's channel is saying everything wrong with CinemaSins. So CinemaSins, if you're unaware, is that show where it's like they say like 20 things that are wrong with like Harry Potter or something. It's like, oh, Harry Potter, Hermione's not my girlfriend. Ding, that's a sin. So he makes everything wrong with videos. So he's making it's like 2 levels down of reactionary content, basically. But anyway, that'll come up to this story a bit later, I think.
The tachi, the armor Jin wears, resembles armor of the Edo period rather than the oyoroi and domaru armor that would be commonplace in the Kamakura period. The real Tsushima is way smaller than the game's version and doesn't have large snow-covered mountains and giant golden forests. Haikus play a major part in the game, but that form of poetry wouldn't exist for another 300 years. Now, some of you might say, well, none of that is a big deal because the game was still a good game regardless.
True. And if Assassin's Creed Shadows is a good game, it won't matter that Yasuke is the main character. That's the way it is. If it's good, people will forget the controversy. But does Assassin's Creed look good? It does not. It does not. Maybe they'll pull something out of their hat. I don't know, but I don't think so.
To which I would agree.
See, there we agree on the
I'm still salty that The Last of Us 2 won Game of the Year over that game because no one who is being honest with themselves thinks The Last of Us 2 is a better video game than Ghost of Tsushima. I refuse to accept that. But the point is, a game can be inaccurate to history, even wildly so, and still be a good game.
Yes, that's true.
Right, Shohei?
I feel this is...
In fact, I love alternate history games or alternate history media. I find quite entertaining. It's really interesting to think about what if.
Definitely kamige. Joe Raptor. I don't know how to pronounce. And I'm not sure if he likes Japan or he knows this controversy. I'm sure he knows. But pretending not knowing or he works for Ubisoft.
While watching this video, this part is what made me get off my MacBook and get on my desktop to begin writing this video. Perhaps this guy is assimilating into Western culture a little too well, because calling someone that disagrees with you a shill is textbook grifter behavior.
Textbook
Don't
grifter
be that
behavior.
Guy. Your arguments are...
So that guy, let's have a look. What is his name? Jaw Raptor? Jaw Raptor. All right. Let me see. All right, let's take a look. Let's take a look at his. Oops, sorry, wrong window. There we go. All right, Jaw Raptor. He's got 1 million subscribers, 4K videos, and looks like he's got a lot of positive Assassin's Creed content. I don't know if he's a shill, but he's certainly one of those people that just says like, "Oh my god, guys, it's got Sakura. It's amazing." At least that's what it looks like. The biggest gaming leaks of the week. Assassin's Creed Shadows making big changes. All right, let's continue.
Are better served coming from the place that Westerners are simply ignorant of Japanese cultural norms, and you, as a Japanese person, are not. You are already losing ground with people that actually use their brains.
Like this guy who's got 141 IQ, so you know he's right.
I hope he watches this video because he looks like using Japanese armor, right? There's a lot of people like this. Oh my god, like a lot of hate comments towards the Japanese. On my channel, like saying Japanese are racist. They use anime for the icon. What does it mean?
You don't think your own comments are a little ironic, Shohei? You just said that people who are claiming Japanese people can be racist also consume Japanese cultural properties. Are you not making the claim that Westerners are hating Asians while wearing a Yankees cap and living in New York City? People can enjoy aspects of a culture and be critical of that culture, as you yourself are demonstrating.
That's true, but the kind of people that Shohei is talking about are actually a bit of a scourge on the internet. And you know who I'm talking about. It's the forever woke, annoying anime avatar people that just pop in, try and score some W's, and when they get like retweeted or they get ratioed, they say, "How could you send your Twitter mobs against me? This is so unfair." They're absolutely ridiculous. I don't think that's anything similar to a Japanese man wearing New York Yankees camp, but okay.
Fail to see the hypocrisy in people enjoying, say, anime, for example, but having problems with a singular Japanese person who they think has a poor argument. You didn't create anime, Shohei. Someone that shares your cultural background did. They're not criticizing anime, they are criticizing you. Huge difference. I would agree that it's not helpful to accuse all or even most Japanese people of being racist. And if that's what these people did or are doing, boo them. They are silly and should be ignored.
And Japanese really don't like this game. Always, all trailers, dislike is higher than likes.
YouTube dislikes are an incredibly poor metric to judge anything.
This is true. This is true, I will say.
This game is controversial, and this is an example of a review bomb. On top of that, you don't know that everyone who left a dislike here is even Japanese, as quite a few trolls have been pretending to be Japanese to give the appearance that this game is hated by Japanese people as well.
This is true, and actually this guy here he mentions, Colonial Otaku Gatekeeper, this guy's a real weirdo, and he pretends to be Japanese and has been exposed to some British dude or something, and he like downloads people's videos and then uses AI voices to try and pretend he's Japanese. I want to talk about this guy at some point because he's an actual psycho. But yeah, people pretending to be Japanese online is very cringe, and I don't know why they do it.
Actual quantifiable data suggests that the majority of Japanese people who even know about this game have a purchasing interest in the game.
No, this is just a straight up lie, and he doesn't substantiate it. But let's continue for a second.
It is currently the #1 most pre-ordered game in Japan.
All right. So this 141 IQ brainiac has made a very conclusive claim that Assassin's Creed Shadows is currently, as of this video was released like yesterday, February 6th, is currently the best-selling game in Japan. Now, first of all, if you even look at this tweet, it was posted on May 20th, 2024. And this is not the best-selling game. It is Assassin's Creed Shadows is #1 on Japan's best-selling PS5 game list. Now, this was actually somewhat true. For 3 days, Assassin's Creed was the most pre-ordered game on Amazon in Japan. But that doesn't really mean anything because we don't know the actual data of how many were sold. And frankly, if you go to Japanese Amazon right now, which I'm about to do, I'm not going to show you what's in my cart, but if you go to Japanese Amazon right now, you will see that Assassin's Creed Shadow is actually 40th on the list, okay? 40 or 20, 39. It's 39. So when he says currently it's the most best-selling game in Japan, not even of all games, but just on the PS5 and just on Amazon pre-orders, Assassin's Creed Shadows has sold, in pre-orders, mind you, 200 in the last month. 200. Now, if you go back to the best-selling games on PS5, okay, we go to #1. It is, what is this, Monster Hunter Wilds. Monster Hunter Wilds, the actual best-selling game in Japan, has sold 20,000 in the last month. So there's a little bit of a disparity there. Now, he doesn't post, except for this tweet, he doesn't post any source, he doesn't post any numbers, he doesn't post any evidence except that Amazon reported this as the best-selling game for 2 or 3 days in May of last year. Which doesn't mean anything, because if nothing else was selling that day, it could have been 50 sales. It could have been 100 sales. It was probably a couple thousand. It may have even been 10,000. But to think that this means that this is the best-selling game in Japan is so salacious and such a lie that I don't know how he had the audacity to make this claim without at least posting some sort of source for this. It is actually insane. And he uses this as his main claim that Assassin's Creed is actually going to be a banger in Japan. If I had to guess, I think that Assassin's Creed will sell averagely when it comes out. I don't think it's going to be a spectacular failure. I don't think it's going to be successful. I think it's going to be mid-game because that's what it looks like. People that like Assassin's Creed will buy it. I don't think other people will be that interested in it. Seekalova with 5 Singaporean dollars says, looking forward to a review of Showa American style when it is a Chinese turn to take a dump on Japan. What is Showa American? Is that real or is that just some joke? I'll have to see. I like the Showa period though. That's kind of a nice aesthetic. But remember that this man, why do I keep saying the T-man? The Birdman said that integrity was important, that telling the truth was important, not misrepresenting the reality was important. But then he takes this just random Twitter person and uses it as his entire basis for his argument that this is going to be a good game that Japanese people love. Spoiler alert, the majority of discourse in this game is not positive, especially in Japanese circles. But he would know that if he actually spent any time with Japanese people. He did go to Japan, though. We might talk about his blog or his vlog. He goes to Japan, which is very funny. He has possibly the worst vlog that I've ever seen, but we might take a quick look at that.
So, Shohei, you appear to be in the minority in your own country.
No.
Now, the rest of this video is Shohei just reacting to the 3-hour gameplay footage with mostly silly quips that don't mean anything, like this.
Look how fast she is.
That's the sales point. Now we run fast. Good to know. I seen a previous video, but why all of them has such a narrow forehead? Is that Japanese face? Narrow forehead?
Yeah, it's just a guy reacting to stuff.
Still, I'll show you more brutal assassinations in a moment. But yeah, this is
He said the brutal, right? I'll show you. So actually, Japanese version and US version is different.
Yes, that's true.
They know Japanese get offended, meaning they really know what they're doing. I really don't know why people still support this game.
Now, this is true that Japan has different versions of games because Japanese censorship laws are different to America.
So Japanese version, they disabled. There's a skill like Yasuke cut off enemy's head and the limbs, but they took it off from Japanese version.
So, as you can see, he's mad about nothing, making mostly CinemaSins level quips. For example, the idea that Ubisoft are changing the game because they are aware Japanese people would be sensitive to the killing of Japanese NPCs. But no, they are changing aspects of the game because Japanese games are censored. This is a scene from the Western version of Resident Evil 2 Remake, where a cop in the RPD is ripped in half by a zombie. When put against the Japanese version of this scene, what Ubisoft is actually doing becomes clear.
Okay, so you can see the Japanese versus the American. And when he gets pulled out from this, like half his body's moving one of them. All right, so he blurred it, but there's like half a man here, basically, and there's a full man here. Okay, so he puts in like a little tagline. The Japanese version doesn't even make sense. What the hell did this guy even die from? LOL. This is a CinemaSins level observation. Yes, he's not ripped in half. Being crushed on the stomach can actually cause people to die. Now, yeah, of course, it's not as impactful. It's not as obvious as the American version, but pretending that being crushed by a steel door is nothing. Come on, bro. If you're going to say that there's a CinemaSins level criticism, maybe do a bit better yourself. And also the zombies are probably just biting his legs and shit, right? Like they're ripping his ankles apart and biting him and turning him into one as well. Like, of course you could die from this. I mean, apart from the crush injuries, which are very serious. And what is it? Find Showa American Story on YouTube. All right, I'll take a look for that. Thank you for the extra 2 there.
But I want to get to another of Shohei's videos regarding this game because I think some of his positions require tackling.
All right, so I posted a video that I was talking about why a lot of Japanese are protesting new Assassin's Creed game. And I think the video was pretty successful to convey my idea. I got a lot of the comment supporting what a lot of Japanese are talking about. The video got more likes than official Japanese trailer of Assassin's Creed. And I really appreciate people who support us and showing understanding. It's really meaningful to us. But also, I still get these comments. saying it's just game or you don't know the meaning of historical fiction. Look this. This is interview from the Ubisoft, I think director for Xbox. We are showing real historical figures and a lot of events that happened during at that time. So you are not only playing in feudal Japan, but learning about this fantastic time period.
Now, if you make that claim, you better be damn sure your game is historical. And it's not just the Yasuke stuff. It's all of the little details that we talk about. It's these little things that you wouldn't notice if you're a Westerner, but you would definitely notice if you lived in Japan or if you're a Japanese person. And the fact that they didn't have some sort of coordinator to notice these sort of things goes to show you how little they actually cared about historical accuracy and why they just cared about using the Japanese aesthetic as a veneer for their game. Now, well, I'll talk about this. I've got something I wanted to say, but I'll wait a second, I think.
That's not acceptable since they have a lot of doing like wrong stuff about describing Japan and a lot of misinformation, but they're saying you can learn about this fantastic time period. Learning about fantastic time period.
All right, before whatever this guy's about to say, here's a question. Do you think Ubisoft gives a shit about feudal Japan? Like, honestly, or historical accuracy? Here's an interesting little article that I found. I think I got it here somewhere. Not this one. Not this one. This one. Ubisoft, and this is from 2014, so it's over 10 years ago. Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed in feudal Japan would feel too familiar. So 10 years ago, they were telling fans, we're not going to make an Assassin's Creed Japan game. Ubisoft has revealed the reason it's opposed to creating an Assassin's Creed game set in feudal Japan. It's due to fears the game would feel too similar. Alex Hutchinson, the creative director of both Assassin's Creed and Far Cry, spoke to Xbox to expand about the comments, saying that it would be a boring game. You could always do that, but the point I was trying to make is that the broad strokes and scale of history, that's a theme that is well mined in video games, he explained. So Assassin's Creed is one of those games that we can take lesser-known time periods or corners of the world and make them fun, cooler, and refreshing. Feudal Japan would work as an Assassin's Creed game, for sure. But I feel like it would start to look like, well, I've played this before. You know what I mean? Oh, I've been a ninja before. I've been a samurai before. So Assassin's Creed and Ubisoft, they actually weren't interested in making a Japanese game, even though it's like the perfect setting for an Assassin's Creed game. But they weren't interested in this until Ghost of Tsushima. They saw the success of the other franchise, and they're like, you know what? We need to get a piece of that. We need to get a little bit of that. They didn't even care about it. They were telling fans no, and you're stupid for suggesting this, for so long until Ghost of Tsushima came out. All right, let's, oops, not that one, this one. No, not that one, this one. All right, now what is the Birdman going to say about this fantastic time period? Oh, look at that, there's Persimmons. Wait, what the fuck? Okay, so again, this is just another thing that feels really weird. If you have any knowledge about Japan, persimmons are an autumn fruit. And then you've got sakura petals on the ground. You would never see fresh persimmons next to sakura in Japan. This is, again, just another piece of ridiculous nonsense. It's like they looked up what fruits were in Japan and they just put them all in one place. It's very silly. And this is really silly as well. But if you come to Japan, you'll hear the phrase, this phrase quite a lot, that Japan has 4 seasons. And you might say, well, every country has 4 seasons. No, Japan is very proud of their distinct and unique seasonal aesthetics. Okay, it's very important here. Okay, I know it's a little bit silly, but Japanese people care about this shit.
So Shohei seems to be under the assumption that Ubisoft is claiming to be 100% historically accurate here, and I don't know if there is a language barrier issue here or if he's truly this naive.
This is completely this is completely misrepresenting Shohei's argument. He didn't say it was going to be 100% historical. He said that they were focusing on historical aspects. And if you're going to do that, you better damn well be majoritarily historical, okay?
But that isn't what Ubisoft is saying. This is Assassin's Creed, a science fiction game where you take control of a person's ancestors with a machine called the Animus, and you relive their lives in the form of gameplay. While set in relatively
such a disingenuous argument.
Accurate historical periods, these games have always been inaccurate to history and take liberties with historical events. In the second game, you literally get into a fist fight with Pope Rodrigo, a real person in history who, as far as we know, never got into a fist fight in his life. I wonder, Shohei, do you have a video on Assassin's Creed 2 or any other Assassin's Creed games? No, you don't. You only have videos about shadows. 15 videos, in fact.
What a stupid thing to bring up. What a stupid point from this 141 IQ genius. Oh, have you considered you have 15 videos about Assassin's Creed? All right, let's take a look. Let's take a look at the Birdman. The Birdman. Let's have a look. So the implication would be, I would imagine, that 15 videos means that he's obsessing about the game. He's ridiculously crazy about the game. This man has a playlist of nitpicking everything wrong with CinemaSins. He has this is one of 238. So he's like, oh, you silly Japanese man, how could you make 15 videos about Assassin's Creed? When he has made 238 videos about CinemaSins. His entire career is built off the back of CinemaSins. And you're going to complain that one guy is making 15 videos about this? Like, here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with making lots of videos about a topic if people are interested in it, right? I've probably made 15 or 20 videos about the same topic before as well. It doesn't matter. If people are interested in the content, if you have something to say about the content, it makes no fucking difference. But you would only, like, the only reason you would put this here is to try and imply and try and persuade your audience that Shohei is obviously obsessed with this topic. He couldn't be any reasonable arguments here because he's made so many. He's just obsessed. Why would you make 15 videos? Like, come on now. He's saying this is just a grift. He's saying that he's exposing the grift of Shohei Kondo.
About a game that you don't like that isn't even out yet, and probably more by the time this video comes out.
So I want to make it clear statement about the biggest point about this topic. We are protesting marketing DEI's historical distortion stemming from their disregard for Asians and their arrogance and discriminatory responses to protest from Japan. It said diversity, equality, what was it? Illusion.
As you can see, this person has been consuming grifter content and has sunken into parrot status. DEI doesn't even make sense in this context.
Hang on a second. Is that a parrot or is that a lorikeet?
Sunken into
I feel like this is a lorikeet, but it could be. I mean, lorikeets are basically parrots, but never mind. It's not important. It's not important.
To parrot status. DEI doesn't even make sense in this context.
Yes, it does.
And he's clearly misusing the acronym in the same way the acronym is misused by Trump and his insane supporters. These people have, for the longest time, said that if you want to include black people in stories, make your own movie or game or whatever.
I absolutely agree with this point. And that's why I didn't have a complaint about Assassin's Creed Shadows when it was first released. They absolutely have the right to make this video game and have whoever they want in it. But that doesn't mean that they're free of criticism. If you want to make your own game, that's fine. People are going to criticize it if it's in the public sphere. And this is absolutely a DEI initiative because you just know that they're looking for a way to make this stand out and get a bit of attention, get a bit of a naughty attention, a bit of controversy in the media. And if you don't believe me, well, all right, let's take a look at another thing. Let's see. So DEI is diversity. What is it? What does the E stand for? Oh, hold on a second.
Now that these people have done exactly that, you call it DEI? Excuse me, this game isn't Japanese.
Right, hold on a second. It's diversity, inclusion, and equity, right? There you go. All right. So basically, people understand DEI as the ham-fisted insertion of characters that don't make any sense into a property, purely not for reasons of merit or not because of storytelling, but because to meet diversity quotas. Now, is Yasuke a character in Japan and in Japan's history? Absolutely. But let's take a look at another little. Let's see. Would you rank this as DEI? I believe I have it in one of these tabs. Let's see. Not this one. Not this one. I got a lot of tabs. You'll have to give me a second to find this. This one. All right, let's take a look at this one. This was by Cabrutus, which is a guy that kind of I think he basically exposes DEI stuff all the time. But he says, so Assassin's Creed Shadow is going to get a female sumo wrestler. Does this make sense? Does this make sense in a historical period in Japan? Okay, so Yasuke was a real character. That's fine. What about female sumo wrestlers? Wait a second. And the funny thing about this, there's a lot of funny things about this, but her signature active ability, Rikishi, kind of means like strong man. Because I have a friend that has a name that has part of this in it. But anyway, let's see what Kabruta said here. He said, Assassin's Creed Shadow is going to feature a female sumo wrestler. For those who don't know, it is strictly forbidden for women to become professional sumo wrestlers to this day in Japan. Hell, it is even forbidden for women to go into many, if not all, of the sacred places in Japan, including a sumo ring. The fact that this is a tradition taken so seriously to this date, that a few years ago, more precisely in 2018, some female paramedics had to step into the ring to help a guy that collapsed, and they were readily told to leave the ring immediately, even though they were there trying to help. After the woman left, the tournament staff threw salt in the ring again to purify it, because women are seen as impure in Japanese religious culture. This is how much they respect this tradition. Now, I won't discuss it if it was right or wrong here. It is what it is, but it's none of my business since I'm not born in Japan. Okay, so back to Assassin's Creed Shadow. They're putting a female sumo wrestler to represent the biggest and most important martial art in Japan's history. Yeah, sumo is like insane in Japan, obviously. In this game, even though only men can become professional sumo wrestlers, it is clearly another indication, like we still needed it, that they never had any intention to properly represent the Japanese culture. They only want to disrespect Japan, Japanese people, and their culture. They don't even care anything but to shove their own personal beliefs about what is right and what is wrong in this game, period. I love sumo, I really do. And seeing them do this with such a beautiful aspect of Japanese culture makes it even less interested in this game. I don't know how you would include this character if it was not for DEI purposes. This makes no sense otherwise. Like, especially in this time period, it's such an egregious example of DEI. And this man has the audacity to say that Shohei doesn't know what he's talking about with inclusion, but it's absolutely forced inclusion for reasons that are only representation of a minority, what they perceive as a minority into this game. Is she topless in the game? I don't think so. She probably doesn't even wear the thong, right? All right, let's see what he says about Ubisoft Quebec. It's the Canadians are responsible for everything.
It's made by a Canadian development team. There is no forced diversity or whatever silly euphemisms you want to use.
No, it's not forced diversity. They're doing it by their own volition. But it is being forced into the game in a place that seems unnatural. And again, it's about that suspension of disbelief. When you see this massive fat woman sumo wrestler jump into the ring and help Yasuke and saying, yes, queen, slay, it doesn't make sense, and it takes you out of the game, breaks your immersion, and makes the game experience worse for it. And that's what people are complaining about, is that these sort of odd inclusions to games makes you enjoy the fantasy less. Extremely happy Simmer says for 5. Are women really seen as impure in Japanese religious beliefs? That's insane. In certain parts, yes. There's like a mountain where women are allowed to go. I don't think it's all, because women are a part of Japanese religious beliefs, like the Maiko, the shrine maidens, and things like that. In sumo, though, yeah, women is a no-no. But in certain parts, yes. But those are religious things, so it's not like regular culture or anything.
This is the story they wanted to tell. You are telling people how to make their own art simply because it's set in a place where you're from. Is that really the kind of game you want to play? I've been to Japan many, many times. I have real-life friends and family there. Would you call it DEI if a game developer wanted to make a game about me, the Birdman, and tell a story about me in Japan?
He has loads of Japanese friends. He knows what he's talking about. Now, I think that he's kind of tipped his hand here, and I think that what this man has done is exposed what he really thinks, and that is that this man is upset about any criticism of Yasuke because he sees himself as Yasuke. So anytime someone says Yasuke bad or they don't like Assassin's Creed, he takes it personal, and he has to respond. And I say that because I decided to check out a few of his other videos, and some of them are quite interesting. Some of them are very interesting, actually. I saw one of his videos. Let me see. Where was it? Shit, where did it go? It was right here a second ago. It was a really good one. It must have been down here. Give me a second to find this one. Where did it go? Hold on a second. Maybe I just search for Japan. Japan. No, okay. Let's search. Okay, it should be Tabimono. Tabimono, I think it was called. Wait, where did it go? Where did it go? I had this. I just had this. Where was it? No. I need this. All right, I'm trying to find. What I'm trying to find is he had a blog which I think was called Tamimono and Things, and he goes to Japan, and it's really funny. It's possibly the worst vlog or trip to Japan that I've ever seen. And if you just give me a moment, where was it? Shit. Maybe he's got a second channel that it was on. I felt sure it was on this channel though, but it's really funny. It's really funny. So give me a second here. But he has. Oh my goodness! No, I was wondering if I could skip it, but no, I think I need it. I think I need it. So give me a second. I'll search for this off screen for a second while we listen to a bit more of his video.
If not, why are you doing the same to Yasuke, another black person that was definitely in Japan?
So in this video, I'm going to talk about their biggest attempt to distort history of Japan. That is the legendary samurai, they claim, Yasuke. But reality is, look this. These are all documents we can find about Yasuke.
He's about to, check my watch history is a great example. A piece of advice, but wait till you see this. This is pretty funny.
Not all the documents we can find about Yasuke. Perhaps that's all you can find in Japanese.
Oh, this is perhaps all you can find. Very insulting. Let's have a look.
Luis Frois, the Portuguese missionary, also wrote about Yasuke in Historia de Japão in Portuguese. Yasuke was also mentioned in letters from Lauren Shumeshia in the 1582 annual report of the Jesuit mission in Japan, which was published in Cartas in 1598. So while we are in agreement,
this is such a I didn't really check when I was searching for this thing. He basically just searched for where is Yasuke mentioned. The Historia de Japan and the scenes that this guy's showing here, these Japanese pages, they're the same thing. This is the Japanese translation of the Portuguese account. So what he's doing is he's got two different editions and he's counting them as an additional source. So he's like, well, this is the only thing you could find. No, this is the same source. This is the entire history of Yasuke in all of history. It's not even 2 pages. It's not even 2 pages. Now, was Yasuke a samurai? That's an interesting debate. Certainly, he was a black man that came to Japan as a slave of I believe it was an Italian man or something. And basically, the missionary came and talked to one of the prominent people in the Japan. That was Oda Nobunaga, and they thought he was really interesting. They're like, there's no way a man could have black skin. This is ridiculous. So they basically adopted him for a year, and he was given a sword. He did carry the swords of the shogun, and he was given like a allowance, and he was given a private property, and that would typically be what is enough to be considered a samurai. But he was never given a last name, and that is kind of important for the status of being a samurai. So it's kind of unknown. I think what happened is basically the same thing. What happens if you come to Japan as a foreigner today is that people they give you your own little side space where you don't really follow Japanese culture, but you're kind of like, you're a little bit of an oddity, but you're always an outsider. But it was kind of promoted by this one guy, Thomas Lockley, whose entire career is basically a fraud. This is kind of wild. Like when I was searching for the actual history on Yasuke and what I could find, I think I had it loaded up. Surely it was right here. Okay, this is it. This is what I found on Don't Change Our History. This was by a guy called was it Tanamuzu Editor. All right, let's see what he says.
In the interview.
So this is a quick one. He's a quick one. I'll put it on 1.25 though. I'm still trying to find that vlog.
And something big might be exposed very soon. Yo, what's up everybody? Mr. E here. So there's some major stuff going down that we need to talk about today. As you may already know very well, there is this game called Assassin's Creed Shadows. The devs of the game mentioned the following on Xbox Wire. We are showing real historical figures, such as Oda Nobunaga, and a lot of events that happened during that time. So you're not only playing in feudal Japan, but learning about this fantastic time period. So apparently this game claims to be pretty accurate about Japan back then. But hold up, because we need to chat about some serious misinformation. In this game, the main character is an African samurai named Yasuke. Now, there's no clear link to this book, but there's a book called African Samurai, The True Story of Yasuke, a legendary black warrior in feudal Japan.
Now, this is by Thomas Lockley. This is a guy that was working in Tokyo University, and he basically made this all up, and he made fan fiction into like it was like 400 pages or something. And he's the guy that everyone referred to when they were looking up references for Yasuke. He basically made up his own little story, and then he linked his own Wikipedia. Like it's kind of like you can't prove it's him, but it's almost certainly him linking his own Wikipedia to his own works of fiction to, prove the academics that he's actually correct. It's kind of a wild story.
Thomas Lockley. Lockley is an associate professor at Nihon University, and as the title suggests, he claims Yasuke was this legendary samurai from Africa. But here's the deal. It's really not possible. Samurai needed a surname given by their lord, and one of the very few historical records from Japan, like the Shincho Koki, mentions Yasuke didn't have a surname. Therefore, he couldn't have been a samurai by traditional standards whatsoever. And get this, the Japanese records only have a few paragraphs about Yasuke.
Yeah, this is all it is. Oops, why did this not work?
Yasuke. Meanwhile,
it's basically a postcard of how much information they have.
Lockley wrote a whopping 480-page book about him. Like, how is that even possible? In the interview, Lockley admitted that he made a lot of assumptions to fill in the gaps. He said, and I quote, "The core things about Yasuke, they were already there. That's what I read in 2009 when I found this first story. There was nothing else extra, and when we make the informed research-based assumptions, at that time, not so much was known about him. It wasn't only a few paragraphs, maybe a couple pages or something like that. This is the factual one points to Japanese version. But then I was asked to team up with Jeffrey Gerald and write the narrative version that you see today. Most of the evidence had already been collected by the other people, but it needed to be interpreted and put into context. So basically, this book is mostly based on Lockley's imagination and assumptions.
His source was he made it the fuck up. And this became a bit of a controversy in Japan because everyone assumed that Thomas Lockley was just quoting like an actual academic instead of just making things up. But then when the Assassin's Creed drama dropped, people were like, well, of course this is true because look at this is the work of Thomas Lockley. Then people actually looked into it. And I believe he was suspended at some point, but I'm not sure about that. He'd certainly got a lot of criticism for this.
Wild is that almost every Western media outlet uses Lockley's book as a credible source. And yeah, Assassin's Creed Shadows is no exception. Lockley even talked about these so-called facts on Ubisofts podcast and major sites like Time and the Smithsonian Magazine. On top of that, the Yasuke Wikipedia page has been edited multiple times since 2015 by somebody named Totori Tom. Rumor has it this is Lockley himself. Why? Because Lockley spent his first 2 years in Japan in Tottori Prefecture, and his name is Thomas. Tom. Get it?
I mean, like, can we get ones in chat if you guys think that Totori Tom is Thomas Lockley? I mean, that's a bit too perfect. Tottori is like the least populated prefecture in Japan. It's very nice though. I've been there once or twice. And the fact that it's Totori Tom and Thomas is the guy that's like linking all of the same articles about Thomas Lockley. I think we can link the dots up on that one. I think that's enough evidence. We got him, boys.
Of course, this is just a rumor, so go ahead and take it with a grain of salt. In 2015, this dude was adding stuff to Wikipedia with references to his own future documents from 2016, a whole year ahead of time. Jeez, talk about sketchy. Also in 2019, January 25th, the user Totori Tomu once again added another section to Wikipedia, recommending the viewers to read the book written by Lockley. Let me read the part real quick. The first full-length book about Yasuke in English, written by Thomas Lockley and Jeffrey Gerald, called African Samurai, The True Story of Yasuke, a legendary black warrior in feudal Japan, will be published in May 2018. The Post stated that the book was published in 2018, but it actually came out in 2019. So there were some mistakes in there. However, who else would do this other than the famous Lockley himself? Especially considering all the things associated with the user Totori Tom. All of this seems like his way of adding credibility to his book to boost the sales. And it worked, considering Yasuke got his own anime, a movie in progress, and this book selling pretty well. And of course, this game. Now, don't get me wrong, Wikipedia isn't exactly the most reliable source, but this whole situation has caused a lot of people, both in the West and Japan, to believe this made-up story about Yasuke. And that's hurting Japan's reputation. Some people are accusing us of being racist for not accepting the existence of this legendary black samurai. Well, I really want you to know that we are not rejecting him because he's black. Like I said, we don't care about those woke skin color, racial, those woke crap. We're simply rejecting the false history because it's just not true. Luckily, his appearances on Western major media platforms have spread this false narrative, making people believe in his made-up story. The whole woke culture trend is pushing for racial representation, which is dope, but not at the expense of distorting historical facts. There is even a petition to demand locally correct what he said in the media. I'll drop the link in the description. Oh yeah, and
I wonder if that actually got more looks, more likes. It got 23,000 signatures on that. Shit.
Yasuke Wikipedia page, it's been messed with in both Japanese and English versions. In both versions, you can clearly see that many people are trying to troll around, dropping irrelevant information, or just simply messing around. They're just being a menace for those who legit want to know and learn the truth. As a result, these websites have been semi-protected. We Japanese have had enough of this. So if you or any of you out there spreading the false info or adding any irrelevant junks to Wikipedia, or if you know anybody doing so, please stop. It's making it harder for us to share the truth about Yasuke in Japan. Let's work together to represent all the cultures respectfully and fairly. Peace.
All right, I'm losing my mind. So that's a good demonstration of what Thomas Lockley was. But I'm losing my mind right now because I'm trying to find this video that I was watching earlier today, and I think it's been removed because it was like, let me see if you can find. If you guys can find it, let me know, because it was called Tabimono and Things, and it was a vlog of the guy that's making this video, the Birdman, and it's a 40-minute vlog, and I shit you not, it's so funny. Basically, he lands in Japan. He goes to Kometa Coffee, which is like going to Denny's or something. He eats fried chicken there. He uses the machines in English. He doesn't talk to anyone. Then he goes around doing nothing, just filming himself like walking on the street. Then he goes to a strip club. That's the only thing he does. Basically, he goes to a strip club. Then he goes down to Osaka. Then he decides to get a haircut. So he goes back to Tokyo. So he takes a 4-hour detour, basically, to go back to Tokyo, get a haircut. Then he goes back down to Osaka. And then eventually, the only good part of the video is he goes and buys a katana in Kyoto. But I can't find it. And when I searched for it, was literally called Tabimono and Things. I searched for that plus the Birdman. And I found this tweet. Right? This tweet here. And it says, Tabimono and Things, a Birdman vlog. When I click on it, it's private. I think that while I was doing my research on this guy, he decided to private this video because it's such an embarrassing vlog. And I was gonna use that to say that the reason that this guy is angry is because he sees himself as Yasuke. That's why he's going to Japan to buy katanas and things. If anyone can find a copy of this video, it was in it's not in my search history anymore. I think he privated it to preemptively avoid any backlash. But I saw it, but it was so embarrassing. It's so funny. Like, he does nothing. He does nothing. It was like, it's a show. He had an entire show about nothing. It was so funny. But I think it's literally been privated, so we can't watch it. It was on his channel, but now the video is private. Maybe there's another copy of it. I'm desperately trying to find it. I thought I was losing my mind. I'll try looking for it one more time. I mean, you can do that, right? Like, if you want to, if you're rich, you can just go around and drive around and do nothing in Japan if you want to. It's your money to spend it how it is. But it is very funny that the one thing that he does in the video, apart from buying a sword, was going to a strip club. And when I was looking at another one of his videos, he had another video where he was angry at this Korean guy. It's some sort of like nationalist Korean guy or something. But wait until you hear his argument. His 141 IQ argument is hilarious. Where did I have that? It was on here somewhere. Let me see. Give me a second here. I think it was this guy. Okay, so he was exposing another guy. This is called Exposing the Grift. A racist cries about the black samurai. So this is another Yosuke rebuttal video. But listen to this argument about why this Korean guy is wrong. This is hilarious.
Maybe some black dude, probably me, took a girl he was interested in and he never let that hate out of his heart. Who knows?
My dick! Have you considered maybe that you're angry at me because I'm boning Asian women? And he actually posts a picture with this woman who I assume isn't a stripper, but now I can't verify it because he hid the video that actually shows him going and paying for women, which is very very disappointing. But maybe we're all just mad because he's a based man in Japan getting Asian women. But my dick, maybe my dick. Oh well. Anyway, I thought that was pretty funny. I'm very sad that I can't show you his vlog because I was so looking forward to that part of this video. Do I not have a tab with it still open? Shit. I can't believe he privated that video, that coward. It's kind of funny though, because it only has like 2,000 views, even though his channel has like 263,000 people. Oh, well, if anyone can find me that, please DM it to me because I want to see his vlog. That was going to make up part of my video. Very sad, very sad. Zombie Licorice with the $10 says, regarding Resident Evil 5, Chris Redfield is also an established protagonist in earlier games. Yeah, I mean, I would say that, right? Like, the reason that he's in Africa is because the T virus is spread to Africa. It's different than starting new. It's also different comparing 21st century Africa and 16th century Japan. Absolutely. It's not crazy to see, like, some sort of foreign military going into Africa in the modern year. But to be fair to the point that Yasuke was a real person, he was. But that's not the point. It's not the point that he's a real person. It's the point that they're kind of ham-shoeing this character because they thought it would be like this big, woke, amazing moment that they could get a lot of credit from, and especially through getting both positive and negative attention from both sides. I think that was definitely in their marketing strategy. And they go on to talk about this a little bit, I think, in a moment, actually.
We can find about Yasuke.
These are not all the documents we can find about Yasuke. Perhaps that's all you can find.
No, this is the only documents that you can find about Yasuke, and you were just too stupid to not realize they were the same documents posted twice. They were literally in a different font, although language, whatever.
Japanese, but Luis Frois, the Portuguese missionary, also wrote about Yasuke in Historia de Japam in Portuguese. Yasuke was also mentioned in letters from Laurentiu Mexia in the 1582 annual report of the Jesuit mission in Japan.
It's just mentioning the same documents.
In Cartas in 1598. So while we are in agreement that Yasuke definitely existed in Japan during the Sengoku period, you seem to be ignorant of all the available evidence we have of Yasuke's life. Further, there is a Japanese children's book published in 1968 called Kurosuke. This book clearly depicts Yasuke as a warrior with a sword working for Nobunaga. It is literally on the cover. This book was written by the Japanese novelist Yoshio Kurusu 33 years before the existence of Wikipedia.
It doesn't matter, though, because this is a fictional story as well. And we've already established that there is numerous pieces of Japanese media that have black protagonists, and also Yasuke. I believe in the Nino game, there was Yasuke shows up as the Obsidian Samurai or something. It's not because of Wikipedia, okay? Although it's kind of, the name's kind of funny because Kuro just means black.
You heard me right. A Japanese man was the first person to depict Yasuke as a warrior with a katana in literature, thereby debunking this weird DEI claim.
Debunked.
But all of this is besides the point. Even if you want to believe that Nobunaga would give this man a sword, have him protect him as a bodyguard, and give him the status of Bushi, but that he wasn't explicitly a samurai, this is a game. It doesn't have to be historically accurate. The setting and figures in the story are accurate. Nobunaga is there. It's the Sengoku period, and Yasuke, a figure we both agree was a real person, is present. The events of the game are what makes the historical fiction fiction. Him being designated as the legendary samurai is perfectly accurate, because even if you think he wasn't a samurai, the word legendary already accounts for that. A legend is not necessarily true or false. A legend is generally a story that is passed down and is sometimes not verifiable.
I agree with him on this point, but that's not the issue. And even though it is true, you can still criticize it if you don't like it. Like, this is the thing, is people get so mad at any criticism. You're not allowed to have criticism of Yasuke or his or the Assassin's Creed game, or obviously you're just a grifting shill or whatever. But no, if they're free to make this game, and if it's good, it'll stand by its own merits, and people are free to criticize it if they think it looks shit. And I think it looks shit not because Yasuke is there, but because of the actual gameplay that I've seen. It looks very bad.
Kinda sounds like Yasuke, huh?
And here is Assassin's Creed: The Shadows. And the reason why they decided to use Yasuke as main character is that, according to their interview, we are first looking for someone who could be our samurai. In other words, someone who could become our eyes despite not being Japanese. He thinks Japanese samurai is not samurai. It's not your samurai.
What Shohei is showing on the screen requires a lot of explaining, so I'm going to do my best to condense this all down. First of all, the words on the screen come from Famitsu, a Japanese magazine for video games. They are interviewing the developers for Shadows, who, I remind you, are Canadian. In other words, they are not speaking Japanese in this interview, and Famitsu has to translate what they are saying. A minor controversy erupted because Famitsu cleaned up their translation after publication, so anti-woke people assumed they were trying to hide something nefarious, being the conspiracy theorists they are. Well, I tracked down the archived Japanese version of this interview, and the issue comes down to a translation error. Shohei's Twitter version of this translation is not only wrong, it doesn't even make sense.
All right, so we're going to jump over to Shohei's channel for a second, because Shohei responded to this video. And let's see what he says about this, because he doesn't clarify every point, because he gets tired of the thing at the point and then just like cuts it off. But this is what he says about what this guy's saying about him. All right, let's see.
Controversy.
So this is him going through the video.
So it's talking about the Famitsu interview saying,
I was initially looking for a character who could become a samurai from our perspective, someone who wasn't Japanese, someone who could see things through our eyes.
Okay, I know this translation. He definitely used ChatGPT to do this, but the other translation show the other stuff. Okay, I know it. I translated this many times, and I shared this version too in my video. And fact is, they deleted this, meaning they knew that's bad. This guy, okay.
So he's actually completely misrepresenting the entire argument by showing the wrong image. And he didn't even bother to check. He's got the wrong image, then he's translating from that. Is my chat broken again? All right, hold on. Let me refix this. But yeah, I need to do something with my... I need to do something with my... Oh, you know what happens is my chat bugs out when I switch my YouTube accounts. I figured out what the issue was, actually. There you go. This should work now. There we go. All right. Apparently, I missed a couple of chats as well. There we go. Let's switch back to live, where it's all the good comments are. And apparently, Fatty Caddy said, why did they put Rackets Bull in AC? Rackets win. And also, you think Yasuke balled out our wife in a past life? Absolutely, he did. But who didn't? Who didn't, right? There you go. It's working back now.
The important part of this is here, and the correct translation of this is as follows. As for Yasuke, I was initially looking for a character who could become a samurai from our perspective, someone who wasn't Japanese, someone who could see things through our eyes. From the beginning, I believed that a story related to the arrival of the Portuguese would be an excellent way to convey Japan's crisis. The team liked the character of Yasuke, and we felt that using him could help uncover Japan. Obviously, what the team at Ubisoft is saying here is that they thought it would be interesting to explore this period through a foreigner's eyes, and that the player could be introduced to Japan the way Yasuke was. This clearly makes sense and is an extremely old literary trope where we follow a protagonist that is a fish out of water so that we discover the world the story is trying to build through the eyes of an outsider.
And I would agree with this. I think that's exactly what Ubisoft was doing. However, he goes on to equate this to meaning that they wanted to make a video game about Yasuke from the beginning, which is not true. They were looking for someone who could portray the fish out of water story in Japan. And when they found across Yasuke, they were like, yes, this is our guy. We're going to get so much attention from this because people are going to complain about it and people are going to give us free publicity for it. They thought it was going to be a slam dunk in publicity because of DEI reasons.
Shohei thinks this is them saying Japanese samurai are not samurai.
He thinks Japanese samurai is not samurai. It's not your samurai.
And you guys wonder why Famitsu had to clean up the article so that it was easier to understand.
As I mentioned in previous video, when we protest about it, and then their response is basically, shut up, you are racist.
Shohei.
That's absolutely true. Anytime a Japanese person or, you know, any person really, like when I had this earlier, the guy that was the sword guy, from let me see, where was it? This guy. I think the pressure might be getting to the Assassin's Creed news. Basically, this is what you get if you try and just have any sort of discourse about this online. You just get immediately like slammed with people that are just shilling for the game for no reason. This guy is the Assassin's Creed News Network guy. Go crying. He's just responding to every person. Go crying, go crying, go crying, go crying, go crying, go crying, go crying. They're literally just spurgs having tantrums because people don't immediately like this game. And Shohei is absolutely being silenced on his videos. They tried to block his video 12 times. And all he wants to do is give his Japanese opinion. He's not going to stop the game from being released. I mean, maybe he's protesting or whatever. But like realistically, the game's going to come out as it is next month or whatever. But no, he's free to talk about his displeasure in what he's seen from the game. They're free to make the game. We're free to make fun of it. But people don't like it when you make fun of it, because you're not allowed to. It's a sacred cow.
Unfortunately, like Yasuke, you are an outsider caught up in a larger conflict. Ubisoft is not calling Japanese people who may have issues with watermelons and Sakura being depicted in the same season racists. They are calling these people racists.
Who gives a shit about Redditors? If you're mad about people making videos and then Redditors are talking about it, you've already lost the plot. This is almost as bad as showing that post from your friends list on Facebook from 5 years ago where you epically destroyed them. Holy shit, I can't believe he included that at the beginning of the video. What a psycho.
The people that are now using you as a shield to deflect from their obvious racism. Dude, look at your own comment section. It is filled with the people Ubisoft are actually talking about.
Who gives a shit about what comments says? If you're crying about people's comments, I don't know how you get to a YouTube channel this size if you're still worried about people's comments. Oh my goodness, the comments. Fuck off.
So while you may be referring to cultural inaccuracies and whether or not Yasuke was a samurai, these people have a problem with one of the protagonists being black, and you are providing them cover. You need to stay out of this conversation about racism because you're either extremely ignorant of the blatantly racist rhetoric coming from these people, or you're willfully ignoring it, which makes your position dubious.
Willfully ignoring? How about how he willfully ignored all of the points at the beginning? Let's see, what did we talk about? First of all, he willfully ignored the real reason that Kim Kardashian caused such an issue. It wasn't because she wanted to use the word kimono. It's because she wanted to trademark the word kimono. Completely left that out. Completely left out the points on how the the records of Yasuke are just the same ones that are translated from between English and Portuguese. Just lies.
The literal top comment on your video is this fucking idiot talking about race swapping, which has nothing to do with this topic because Yasuke was a real person and he is not being race swapped. You are courting people that dislike black people.
All right, let's see what this comment actually says. I'm sorry this is happening to Japan's history. It's been happening in the UK for a long time. Queen Anne Boleyn was played by a black woman in a TV show. That is true. The BBC used a new show with black Anglo-Saxons. If anyone complains about them, immediately branded the racist. The same playbook is now being used against Japanese people who disagree with race swapping. Now, this is true that Yasuke is not being race swapped. He was a black man. But I think what this commenter is trying to show is that when you criticize the DEI initiatives, you get shut down and your discourse is ended. So while he is incorrect that the Queen Anne Boleyn race swap, which is absolutely insane to do this, but they did do it, is not the same as Yasuke. The concern is that the conversation is being shut down. I think this is a very willful misreading of this comment in that regard. I should have said the same playbook is now being used against Japanese people about historical accuracy. So he even corrected his comment. What the fuck? So this 141 IQ man didn't even read the end of the comment. The commenter literally said, I should have said the same playbook is now being used against Japanese people about historical accuracy. And that is the techniques that is being to silence any criticism. What a disingenuous fucker this Birdman is. Holy shit. I didn't even notice that. Good thing I read that. Oh my goodness. He's just butthurt.
What Ubisoft is referring to. It doesn't matter if the character is an original character, a historical figure, or someone taking up the mantle of an established character. If the character is black and in a prominent role, these people will find something to whine about.
That's not true. And they have actually praised black people in many roles where they're good characters. And even Shohei was praising black characters in Japanese media with Afro Samurai.
The great example of how the marketing DEI is
these
actually
people.
destroying minority culture. Destroying. This should be stopped. Really, this should be stopped.
The only thing that should be stopped is you using buzzwords for concepts you don't understand. Again, DEI stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. People wanting to tell a story about a black man in Japan is not diversity, equity, and inclusion, because...
What about adding a female sumo wrestler? Is that diversity, equity, and inclusion? And Ubisoft did not want to tell a story of a black man in Japan. They wanted to tell the perspective of someone non-Japanese, and they chose a black man. They're not exactly the same thing. It's a slight difference, but it is important to mention.
That suggests they had literally anything else in mind, but chose a black person for no reason. They didn't.
No, they chose a black man I think they chose a black man for a very obvious reason, is that they thought it would get them more attention.
Clearly stated they wanted to create a story with Yasuke from the beginning.
No, they wanted to create a story with a foreigner from the beginning, and they chose Yasuke. It wasn't from the beginning. Yasuke came in later.
Remember, they want to discover Japan through a foreigner's eyes? Language like yours diminishes art and suggests there is no room for a story like this. There clearly is, as demonstrated by your own countrymen pre-ordering this game.
Again, willfully misrepresenting this screenshot, saying that this means that Assassin's Creed is the #1 selling game in Japan on pre-orders. Right now, it's not. It's 39th. It was only first in Japan for approximately 3 days in May of last year. And that just means that nobody else is buying different games on that day. It doesn't mean it was selling well. We don't know the numbers. And specifically, this is just PS5 and is just Amazon.
You are also arguing multiple different topics at once, because DEI is a racist dog whistle that has come to mean no black people allowed. From your own pinned...
No, this is what you believe DEI means.
Comment, you suggest you are okay with a black samurai, which means calling this DEI doesn't make sense, and you are only using it because it's a buzzword.
No, he's using it because his impression, his feeling, is that Yasuke was added specifically for inclusion brownie points. Now, if it was just Yasuke, there may be an argument there. But after I saw this, where did she go? Where's my big girl gone? Where did she go? There she is. After I saw them add... After they added this big sumo wrestling woman, which is completely counter to Japanese history and culture, the only reason you would add this is to have another female character for diversity, equity, and inclusion, which means that Yohei was right. Shohei, sorry. I keep calling him Yohei. It's because I know one of my friends is called Yohei, so I say that. But no, it's Shohei. So Shohei is completely right. He's just completely right. And you're just butthurt that he doesn't agree with you and he doesn't have your big brain IQ.
Your argument is that there are historical inaccuracies with the depiction of Yasuke, then you are arguing a fictional game is fictional. Yeah, we know. Play any Assassin's Creed games, you will find this kind of thing every single time. Or, Ghost of Tsushima.
I feel this is definitely comedy.
Is that like the end of the video? All right, that's the end of the video. I'm very disappointed that I can't show you the vlog. Shit, that's like... I can't believe that in the intervening hours that he uploaded this, because he uploaded this today. He unlisted that, he privated that video. Because it was like a year-old video. So he must have been getting criticism from that video before I got a chance to show it to you. I'll look for it one more time, but I don't think it's there. It was Tabimono. I'm pretty sure it was called Tabimono and Things. If anyone could find it, I want it. But since this is the link from his Twitter, right? That's his Twitter. Yeah, that's his Twitter. Yeah, that's the correct one. You know it's his correct one because he's got his IQ linked. If you didn't see it at the beginning of the stream, his pin post is an online IQ result, 141. Maybe he did this for parody purposes. I don't know, but it's very funny and very cringe. But since he's been attacking Yohei, sorry, Shohei. I keep doing that. Shohei. It seems that video has just disappeared. If I click on it, I watched this several hours ago. and now it's unavailable. So he must have preemptively, using his big fucking brain, realized that if he just had a vlog of him going to Japan and doing nothing except going to a strip club, going to a black barber in Tokyo after he already went to Osaka, and eating fried chicken in Komeda Coffee, even though Komeda Coffee is pretty good, but it's just like Denny's. It's like going to Denny's. He seems to be ashamed of that vlog for some reason. I don't know why. Very disappointing. But anyway, to go back to my sort of point of this game, is that I don't care if that Yasuke is the main character, and they're perfectly free to do that if they want to, but they're perfectly free to get no sales as well. If they don't want to sell the game that people want to buy, that's going to be their fault. They have enough rope to hang themselves with that. But everyone's free to criticize it, and I think this game is deserving of criticism. So I have a video here from Smash JT, which says, Yasuke cooked Assassin's Creed Shadows gameplay. So let's take a look. Let's take a look and see if we think this game looks like a good game. You know, let's not worry about any of the racial implications. Let's just have a look and see if this game looks like it'll be fun. Let's see.
The situation with Assassin's Creed Shadows
Oops, sorry, I was watching this at 2 times speed again. There we go.
any funnier. Ubisoft decided it would.
All right. So this is Smash JT's
As if
video.
the situation with Assassin's Creed Shadows couldn't get any funnier, Ubisoft decided it would be a good idea to do a Twitch stream to their 1 million followers and only have a sliver of them actually show up to watch it to see a buggy mess exploiting a black character in feudal Japan that seems to fall for every single racial trope you could think of in the name of inclusivity. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode
Great.
of Smash.
Show us the gameplay. Show us the
Another
gameplay.
cutscene. Mouth move. It's just pushing an eye. They forgot to actually put a
So there's a lot of cutscenes in the game. When do you see some of the voice acting? It's pretty good.
game in here. They were so focused on pushing an agenda, pushing an ideology, shoving this story down your throat that at the end of the day, it just turns into slop, where half the words don't even match with the mouth movements and patented Ubisoft fashion.
We should hope my son is found soon. For his sake, and for the sake of this peace.
That looks like dog shit. I have to be honest. It looks like absolute dog shit. And yeah, maybe it's not a finished product yet, but it looks terrible so far.
It was brutal. The game is full of bugs. It's a mess. And the things that they allow Yasuke to do are clearly harkening back to the age of 2020 and George Floyd, where they just feel like they need to tip their cap to the black folks out there and say, yeah, black people are cool. And they were totally in feudal Japan because Thomas Lockley told us he was. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com.
Yeah, go like this video, whatever.
Breaking down this hysterical live stream for a game that has cost Ubisoft not just millions upon millions of dollars, but potentially their entire company is riding on the success or failure of this game.
I've heard that. I don't know if it's true though. It would be very funny if this just fails and destroys Ubisoft. Then I wonder how the Birdman will feel then, since he said that all of Japan loves this game, which is not the case. It's not the case.
And it's not looking good. The worst thing that could happen to a heavily scrutinized game just happened. Ubisoft went live with some gameplay of Assassin's Creed Shadows, and it bugged out almost immediately.
Yeah, I know this isn't the best quality, but try and take a look. Oh, we put this up to 180p. Yeah, I heard that they had to delay the game a week to fix this dog error or some shit. I don't know if it's true, but it's very funny if true.
The Ubisoft developer attempted to, of all things, simply pet the dog. A delay that's cost Ubisoft an additional $20 million estimated to supposedly improve and polish the game has done very little to sway public opinion. As
Yasuke can't even fucking pet dogs in a 2025 game? This is what you want to pay with your money? $100 straight up? What the fuck?
Evidenced by their recent gameplay stream on Twitch. The game is already mired in controversy and widely criticized since its reveal trailer. It's failed to attract much enthusiasm at all outside of the die-hard Assassin's Creed fanbase, and despite Ubisoft's...
Oh, that's Nachi Falls in Wakayama. At least I assume it's supposed to be. It's a very nice, like, 5 pagoda with the, obviously the waterfall in the background. I've never been there. I should probably head out. It's not that far from me.
Twitch channel having well over 1.1 million followers, the live stream itself showcasing Shadows barely peaked at 15,000 viewers. And shout out to that Park Place for that number, because clearly they don't want to publicize that. And I didn't see it live. I had to catch it after the fact. and holy crap, it was bad. The goal of the stream was pretty straightforward, at least so I thought, to reassure everyone that the game had improved after months of polish and additional investments. But instead, the showcase became a masterclass in how to deepen someone's skepticism in a company. Ubisoft's ability to outdo themselves in this area is quite the hysterical talent, if I had to put it nicely. At one point during the stream, developers demonstrated what should have been a simple, charming moment: petting a dog. It's one of those small touches that games these days have become accustomed to and expect to be a standardized thing in gaming. Hell, there's
Makes you wonder if there's a reason Yasuke doesn't want to pet the dog. Maybe he's choosing not to.
even a very popular X account called @CanYouPetTheDog that's sole purpose is to inform gamers on if you can pet the animals in a particular game. And that account itself has over 500,000 followers.
Hold on a second.
Hello.
Come here. Come over here.
It's a Doge.
So
Yeah, it is.
this
It's like an
situation,
Ikito or
clearly
something.
the developers were trying to pander to this very easy win. We're going to get a W by petting the animal. Walk up to the dog and pet it and show everyone, yes, you can pet the dog. Look at how great this game is. And they couldn't even do that.
He's not sure.
He's not sure. We're not cool like that yet. Don't worry, I'm alert.
What followed was an unintentional comedic highlight when the animation completely bugged out, leaving the player character stuck in a glitchy loop, unable to pet the dog. Now,
All right, let's skip forward about the dog. We've heard about the dog smash. Let's see what's next. There's a pretty funny part where he's just like running through concrete walls and things like that. That's, I think, a very entertaining.
dog petting bug wasn't enough. The stream also featured an over-the-top moment involving the protagonist Yasuke, a character already steeped in quite the controversy, to put it nicely. In one scene,
Yeah, this part is
Yasuke
pretty funny.
literally powered through a concrete
So this is cement, a cement wall.
wall by simply lowering his shoulder, sending the rubble flying.
It's so the animation is so bad. Like for a 2025 game, like this is what I expect from the PS2. Like you lower your shoulder and then your knees go straight into the cement wall and it just breaks. This is like Crazy Taxi level of physics or some shit.
And it's kind of funny because, yeah, sure, it's a video game. You should be able to do outlandish stuff and be fun with it. But the problem is Ubisoft can't make up their mind on if they want this game to be a realistic depiction of feudal Japan or if they want it to be a video game where you can just do ridiculous things and do outlandish things. And it just doesn't make any sense in the context of what the game is. Natalia on Twitter said, they made the Black Samurai so OP that he can break concrete while running. DEI at its finest. And Kata replied saying, with the power of fentanyl, you can do anything. And that is harkening back to
Whoa,
how
buddy.
Yasuke has been portrayed as some sort of reimagination of George Floyd. Because
Now
they
people have said this. I don't know if it's true. But a lot of the comments before this video actually was people were mentioning that they chose Yasuke around the same time as Floyd. Is that true? I don't know if there's any connection there. It is very funny and it is something of a coincidence. But there are numerous other inaccuracies in this game, but this is just one of the funny ones, I thought.
wanted to take full advantage of the BLM
Oh my
riots
God, he
back in
can't create
2020 when
shit.
this game was beginning in the early stages of development, and they thought it would be a really good idea to run with that. Yasuke's depiction has been quite the point of contention since the game's announcement. As the first Assassin's Creed title to use a real historical figure as its protagonist, Ubisoft leaned heavily into the DEI aspect of character creation, with rumors of Yasuke being modeled after George Floyd during the height of the BLM riots back in 2020. Crumbs on Twitter said, unbelievable, Ubisoft race-swapped Yasuke. Insiders have reported to Endymion that Assassin's Creed Shadows originally had a feature-complete Japanese male protagonist. He was race-swapped for Yasuke because Ubisoft felt like they would take advantage of BLM and George Floyd.
I don't know if there's any evidence to support that. It is very funny if true. Although there is a little detail here I would like to share with you. Where was it? Where was that that painting going? That painting gone? Shit, where'd it go? It was here somewhere.
Originally had a feature-complete Japanese.
So this painting, this is one of the pieces of evidence that people use to say that Yasuke was a real person. This is a portrait by, well, it's like a Japanese art by an unknown artist. It is not mentioned that this person is African. It's just because he's slightly darker skin. And the guy, Thomas Lockley, as part of his dissertation or like his 480-page book about Yasuke, he literally posted a picture of this and he said, this is probably a picture of Yasuke. That's how deep his academic insight goes into this. It's just because he's got a slightly darker skin than other people. There's just like, well, this could be Yasuke. I don't know. That's how much they're doing. It is very funny. Saitam with 2 says, not accurate enough, need dog burger. Oh no.
Japanese male
All right.
like they would take it. That's a rumor
let's go
that
back.
has not been confirmed. But when you put everything together alongside,
There's a bit of headcanon going on here, I have to say,
DEI
though.
video game company known as Ubisoft, you gotta lean towards thinking it makes
All right,
sense.
let's skip to some of the funny parts of the game. I want to see some of the more voice acting. Let's see. What's this part?
Than any kind of actual attempt at authenticity. The live stream's problem didn't end with that, though. Viewers in the chat chimed in with complaints about the poorly written dialogue, stiff cutscenes, and
Let's see. Did they apologize to Japan and they're still going with this? Guys, can someone tell me if we can also get Japanese voice actors for worldwide version? I really don't want to play this in English voice actors. The voice actors are just phoning it in.
subpar voice
no.
acting.
To attend a Rengakai today, a military alliance forged through poetry. An affirmation of the ties that bind our existing alliance.
An affirmation of the ties that bind our existence alliance, to be clear. What the fuck are they talking about? A military alliance forged through poetry, says Yasuke. What did they mean by that? This is garbage. Did they write this with ChatGPT?
Through poetry. An affirmation of the ties that bind our existing alliance. To be clear. Tokube, I must inquire.
The combat system was described as clunky at best, with Floyd, Yasuke, given the ability to stomp enemies to stun them, and NPC interactions overall felt unnatural. Watching the stream showcase character
Wait, he just stomps his foot and he can do a shockwave power? What the fuck? This looks like hot shit.
models displaying awkward, unsynced mouth movements, which has seemingly become a calling card for Ubisoft titles in the modern era. They still can't figure out how to sync the lips with the words that are coming out.
Your wife married a courageous man, did she not?
Holy shit, that's bad. Look at this. Look at this chat.
With the words that are coming out.
Your wife married a courageous man, did she not? You're resourceful, smart enough to dodge debt-collecting thugs and
Gas 'em
murderous
up.
samurai.
No way.
This is worse than PS2. This is why I think that it's a dog shit game. I don't care about the protagonist choices or anything like that. Although it is obviously ham-fisted in to get attention. It just looks like a bad game to me.
I guess you're right. Fine.
It's a Gary's
Back
mod
to
animation?
Infinity Castle.
Almost, yeah.
Oh, and maybe I'll check on my wife. Or maybe not. Oh, she's going to kill me. And I have you to thank for that.
The game's racially charged troubles extend well beyond these obvious technical hiccups, though. Ubisoft's decision to feature Chinese architectural influences in the setting meant to depict feudal Japan have drawn accusations of lazy research and cultural disrespect, or how they chose to delay the release of the game to the anniversary of a major Japanese terrorist attack. The latest delay,
Really?
now pushing the release to March 20th, 2025, has sparked more people discussing the controversy of that date coinciding with the 30th anniversary of the Tokyo subway sarin attack.
I mean, that's just kind of a coincidence, I think. It is very unfortunate. So what happened is, yeah, there was like a cult, and they unleashed sarin gas in the Tokyo subway, and that's why you can't find trash cans around Tokyo. It's very difficult to find. But there was another that reminds me of another funny detail, because I didn't mention it earlier. But Ubisoft cares so much about historical accuracy. When they actually, there's been like a very funny array of cultural snafus that have come out through this game, and one of them was that they had this is the first one, right? That they had the collector's edition box. Oops, sorry, let me see. So we'll see what this Japanese person says. In this one, it says, let's see. Assassin's Creed Shadow has been promoting reactions from Japanese social media users again lately regarding historical inaccuracies in the extended gameplay, walkthrough trailers, and merchandise. This time, it's not about the tatami mats, which were the wrong shape, to be clear, but mistakes with the Oda clan crest and the Japanese kanji characters. These mistakes are present in the merch included in the game's collector's edition. So what you see here is you see Yasuke's breastplate. It has the crest of Nobunaga, but the crest on his banner in the back is a completely different crest. They just didn't even bother to check on this one. which is very funny because he's supposed to be like a samurai retainer for this guy, but he doesn't even have his symbol. At other times, other people's noticed that real-life warlord Oda Nobunaga's clan crest was upside down on his coat. However, many other errors have been spotted in subsequent details. And there was a Japanese person on Twitter, they said, translated, "The new Assassin's Creed game is insane. Even though people are harvesting rice, the cherry blossoms are blooming. Ha 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 ha. Weird-sized tatami mats are square. They have no border. The hip-hop music in Yasuke's entrance scene. Yo, it's DJ Yasuke. Ha 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 ha. Even though Yasuke is Oda Nobunaga's retainer, he wears the Toyotomi family crest. Also, you don't light incense in a shrine." Also, they had this is like the collector's box they sent out, and the kanji's just totally fucked up. So it was very, very much not historically accurate, which is what they were claiming. And if you make that claim, that's fine. You can do that, but you better be damn sure you know what you're talking about. Now, where were we? Where we were on the shit. Where'd we go? So, where did I lose my thing? I lost my page. Here it is. This one.
A national tragedy.
Oh, sorry, I forgot one other thing. There was an image of the Torii Gate. This is the more important one, actually. Torii Gate. So while they're mentioning that the release date was also like a terrorist attack, there is a very famous Torii Gate. So Torii Gates are like those big gates you see in Japan. And there is one Torii Gate that is very prominent in Japan, and that is this half Torii Gate. So it was knocked in half. And the reason it's knocked in half is because of the atomic bomb that was dropped on Nagasaki. Now, so it's a very, very touchy subject, this particular Torii Gate. Let me see. So when they released their cute little bobble figures for their promotional materials, they also included these where they have the half Torii Gate because they thought it looked cool. It's another example of them not being historic, but just adding something because it's the veneer of Asian aesthetics that they want to sell the game. A lot of Japanese people were really pissed off in this particular model because of the half Torii Gate in particular.
In Japan, the timing has been criticized by many gamers as extremely tone deaf, further alienating a potential Japanese audience. It feels like every step of the way with Ubisoft, if they see a rake, they're going to run over to it and step on it as hard as they can. Who is in charge over there making these decisions? It's like some comedy of errors. I don't understand how they've even gotten to this point. From gameplay bugs to tone-deaf decisions, Assassin's Creed Shadows perfectly exemplifies Ubisoft's growing disconnect with their audience. What should have been an exciting entry into the franchise's first foray into feudal Japan has instead become a case study in how to not make a game and lose your fans' trust at record speed. The dog petting bugs and Yasuke's concrete smashing moments aside, the game itself just doesn't look fun. They can try as much to laugh off these glitches and bugs and pretend like everything's hunky-dory, but gamers that actually care about these games see right through it for what it actually is.
Yeah, it just looks like trash. They might show you a little bit more of the gameplay. I think there was... I can't believe the coward made his video private before I got a chance to show you. It was so funny. Oh, well. Oh, well. If we go back to Shohei's channel... Let me see. I'll get rid of some of these. Don't need these tabs anymore. Don't need those tabs. Don't need those tabs. All right. So I think when he was doing maybe it was a live stream actually. There's like some very, very funny stuff. Why is this? Maybe it was this one.
Not my gameplay.
So I think this was it here. Specifically, like there's well, this clip in particular was that Yasuke was. They thought it'd be a great idea to see Yasuke going through a shrine and just destroying the shit out of all of the religious relics. And there was some controversy saying like, well, in Assassin's Creed, you can't deface a cross, but you can destroy the Japanese religious relics in it. But there was one in particular that I was looking for. That is, he was in a castle and he was just mowing down innocent people, like level 1 NPCs. And for some reason, they thought it'd be great to include this with all the controversy going on. They decided to include footage of Yasuke going through Himeji Castle, beheading level 1 women unarmed NPCs, which is not a great look. not a great look. Let me see which one. This might be one of these here. Let me see. Often dismissed. Japanese reaction. Assassin's Creed. It might be this one. The story trailer. I'll see if I can find that later, maybe. Let's see. So Yohei said that he claimed he talked with a insider, which is kind of interesting, but since it's not verifiable, I don't know if it's worth showing. But yeah, I was hoping to find that one. It was so funny. It was so funny to see. Let me actually. I guess we could just look at the live stream. Okay. Let me see. Let me see if we can find this video for this. Ubisoft erases content from Assassin's Creed after Backlash? That doesn't surprise me. I can't seem to find the exact clip that I wanted. Which was very funny, though. Let's see. I'll try one more time. Yasuke. Should be if we go find it. Doesn't look like I'll be able to get it, unfortunately. Oh, well. It is what it is. It is what it is. Bart and Bella says, wiggle, wiggle. You know, speaking of wiggle, wiggle, Ralph has been released from, well, I mean, I guess he's finished his rehab. So we were going to get some more kill stream very soon. There was a very funny little animation that someone made about Ralph. Do you guys want to see the Ralph going to visit someone's grave to end off the stream, I suppose? That might be good. That might be really funny. It has nothing to do with Yasuke. But this was on Alyssa Clips. I'll probably play this if we ever do another. We'll see. So this is Ralph attends a funeral. Nick Recator told him he could do it. All right. I'll just play this in for fun. It has nothing to do with the topic. But we'll see. All right. Let's see what this is. See the little tent shit in Mexico? I love the details.
Harry, when you die, I'm going to be there. And I'm going to be at the funeral. And they talk about me jacking off to Nikki Haley. I'm going to jack off on your fucking casket, you cocksucking son of a bitch. Nobody else is going to be able to do anything about it. I'm going to come nut all over your fucking grave. Do you understand? Because I got a lot of nut, you know. I mean, it won't take me long. It'll take me about 5-10 minutes. And I'm going to come all over it. And you can't stop me.
I actually really like the animation style. Whoever worked on this put a lot of work into it.
It's not against the law. Nick Recator told me that wasn't against the law. Nick Recator told me I could come on your grave. And there was no problem.
You got me back. The details are great.
Anonymous sent $10.
It's all a dream. But I mean, to be honest, if Ralph has finished rehab and he's clean and sober, good for him. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I know there were some rumors that people were saying that he was actually moving or something. We'll see. Bella Barton says, wiggle, wiggle. We got this one already, actually. And Fatty Caddy with a 2 says, these civvies either got the Yasukok or the Yasu Chop. That's kind of funny. All right. Thank you very much. All right. A bit shorter stream today. I think we'll end it there. I was hoping to show you the vlog of when the guy goes to Japan. It's so stupid. Like, my favorite part, apart from when he goes to the strip club, he does nothing in the vlog except from eating chicken and then going to a strip club. And then he goes down from Tokyo to Kyoto to Osaka, which is like about 3 hours when you do the transfers and everything. It's like a 2-hour train, but you know, there's like getting to your hotel and everything. But he goes down to Osaka. He has nothing to do there. So he goes back to Tokyo to get a haircut from one of his black bros who has a barbershop in Tokyo, because I guess he can't find anyone to deal with his hair in Osaka, which is hilarious. Then he goes back down to Osaka. He wastes like 8 hours to get a haircut. Like, who gets a haircut on holiday? Don't you get a haircut before you go on holiday? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. But he's a coward, I guess, and he made his video private because I guess he was preemptively expecting to get backlash. Very disappointing. But the strip club scene was pretty keno, I suppose, as well. He's like slapping money, like dollar bills on the stripper's ass or some shit, and he's got his Hong Kong friend. I watched the whole thing, and I guess now I'm the only person who'll ever see it because I was preparing for this. But oh well, we got robbed. Chat. Fatty K with 2 says, oh, he will never do better than the Coke Bunny. Very true. Very true. All right, guys. Peace. I'm out. Peace.